All right, everyone, welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast, episode 11. We went through chapters 46 through 50 this week. Well, a couple days for us. We're speeding things up personally. It'll be a week, though, later if you were listening on any podcast website. But yeah, so I am your host, Midnight, and I'm here with Darkness
Hi.
and Mythic.
What's up?
All right, let's get right into it. We're getting into the thick of things here, into the Sanderlanche. It's exciting.
No, the Sanderlanche is until the last episode. The last.
I meant in
But
general
okay.
in this episode.
Uh-huh.
We're getting into it. So this chapter we have Vivenna's point of view. She's eating some dried fish alone in a room in the slums. Vasher has been bringing her around to meet with tons of Idrians who have connections in the community, and she feels she can trust Vasher and is relying on that for now. She then contemplates who she is, not the confident princess nor the woman on the streets. Vivenna leaves the room and wanders the streets, knowing that she likes her determination, but also notes that she has been a hypocrite. She still believes in Oster and its teachings, but believes she and many others took it too far and became prideful. She also notes that what is a part of her is the fact that she'll do anything to not be helpless. So yeah, what are your thoughts on who Vivenna truly is?
Well, I mean, this is not how she was in the beginning, so
Yeah.
I'm glad
Well,
she's changed. She's getting stronger. I'm sorry,
she's
I'm eating.
definitely developing a more broader aspect of things.
I feel like she's definitely at least recognizing her flaws.
Yeah.
Which is good. Like I feel like it's always good to recognize your own flaws as a person. So she's trying to be better, and she's like, okay, who am I really? Like I've been taught to be one way. I'm a certain way when I'm helpless and have dementia, basically. But who am I really?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like what it is. To simplify it, it seems a lot like when somebody who's been sheltered most of their life is then becomes 18, becomes an adult, and is just basically thrown into the world. You start
Yeah.
realizing how harsh the world actually is, and you have to either get tough or die, pretty much.
Yeah, she's basically on her own for the first time. She's been thrust into a very interesting situations, very life or
Yeah,
death situations that
yeah.
have
She
made
was
her
definitely She was definitely thrust into those breasts.
God. um so then she grabs the rope that she had previously taken her breath back from and goes to sit under a tree and begins practicing commands. She learns that simple commands don't give the best outcomes, but more complex commands require more breath. She also learns that you can't draw color from something that is alive. I believe she tries the tree trunk. Vasher then appears and tells her to try telling the rope to hold when thrown. After she tries several times to give a more complex command, it works well, but Vivenna struggles to get the rope back. It's noted that several people have been watching Vivenna practice, and then they go back to their room. Vasher also notes that Ostrism wasn't against awakening before the Many War. So considering Vasher's notes seem to agree with Hoyd's story regarding like what are now Idrian's doing Awakening before. Are you surprised that Ostrism used to use Awakening, or are you not surprised?
Not surprised at all. It wouldn't surprise me if the king is a hypocrite and he actually has breaths. You know,
Well,
like
he has one at least.
well,
Everyone
no,
has one.
yeah, multiple.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if he was at least the first heightening.
What do you think, Darkness?
I mean, to be fair, they came from pretty much the same kingdom, right? So
Yeah.
it really doesn't surprise me that they weren't against it.
Yeah. So then Basher offers Vivenna more squid and learns that she doesn't actually care for fish, even though he's been feeding it to her for 5 days.
That's
Vivenna
my
notes.
favorite part of this whole. Well, not my favorite part of this chapter, but
Yeah,
it
he's
was
just like,
definitely an
but I've
amazing
been.
part.
He's like, but I've been feeding it to you this whole time, and she's like,
You know,
yeah, but I'm reliant on you. I'm not gonna complain.
exactly, and that's my favorite. My favorite part about it was because Vasher was like genuinely concerned. Like, but what I've been giving you this, I could have given you something else.
Yeah, he's like,
And
but
doesn't
I've
he
been
like
giving you this.
doesn't he like try it too? He's like
well,
to
because
like
he
I mean,
thinks
I don't
something's
think I don't
off
think
about it at
Vasher
first, because
cares.
she's making like a
Yeah,
face while eating it. So he
yeah.
tries it, and he's like, no, it's fine. Like, I don't know why you're making a
yeah,
face about it. And she's like,
yeah.
oh, I just don't
But
like seafood. And he's like, what? What?
I could have gotten you something else. Like, come on.
I know. I feel like
Like,
it's a really sweet moment for him because he's like this gruffed guy, and she's like, I've been like
yeah.
kidnapped by this guy. Like he's not been like he's kind of been okay, but he's not been the kindest person because he's, as he says himself, like he's not good with people. So like
Hmm.
she doesn't think he would care or want to get her something else. She's just like, this is the food he's
Yeah.
providing. I'm gonna eat it. Like she's become a better
I
person where she
definitely, yeah.
doesn't. She
I
doesn't like
definitely think they're
think about
both
that.
getting. They're like both changing for the better.
Yeah, no, it's good. I think Vivenna's kind of learned, like, especially with her days on the street, she's like, I'm not taking anything for granted anymore, pretty much.
Yeah. Uh huh. You put food in front of me. I'm eating the food. I mean, I might not like fish, but I'm eating it.
Yeah, she's like, I know what starvation is like. Even if it
Hmm.
makes me gag, I'm gonna eat this shit.
Hmm.
Like she was eating trash, like
Yeah, she got humbled real fast.
yeah,
I mean, it was a month, but still real fast.
yeah. Where was I? But yeah, Vivenna then notes that Vasher has enough resources to get new clothing, but prefers his torn, ragged clothing, and also that he keeps the half beard that seems to always be the same length. So yeah, what do you think about Vasher's choice of style says about him?
I mean, it's really hard to not use uh, knowledge later, but I feel like it's definitely beneficial tactically.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely beneficial tactically, like, but he also kind of keeps like a scruffy beard, a scruffy like hair, like he specifically doesn't. Even if he wanted like the, I'm assuming you're referring to like the tassels that he
Hmm. Yeah,
awakens.
later.
Like
Yeah,
even with that, like he still chooses to look a certain way.
yeah, but I mean, who's gonna look at a vagrant and think they're a threat?
True. Do you think darkness? Do you think it's more to not look like a threat, or do you think he just likes that style better?
I mean, I think it's more like I think it's just like efficiency, honestly.
I mean, he meticulously obviously keeps his beard at the scruffy length she mentions. Like it doesn't get like long, or he doesn't shave it off completely.
Yeah.
Because she's like, it never grows in length. He's obviously like meticulously keeping it this exact length for some reason. He's like, no, no, this is the exact amount of scruffiness I need without looking
Yeah.
completely homeless.
So I have a question.
Hmm.
It kind of goes with the I guess it previous chapters as well.
Hmm.
Every time Vivenna has used her powers or her breath,
Yeah.
something has lost color.
Hmm.
Like she takes color from something, gives breath, but I don't remember that happening for anyone else who has used awakening powers though.
No, it definitely does.
Does it? Okay.
Yes,
Maybe I was
you
like
need
literally
you.
thinking about it.
I believe when they talk about awakening early in the book, they mention that you, and I think also when she practices again in a later chapter, he mentions that
Hmm.
specifically you have to use color to fuel the magic. So it takes breath and color to fuel the
Hmm.
magic. And you can't take it from living things. The only time a living thing goes gray is when you make a corpse a lifeless, and Nightblood makes living things gray,
Okay, yeah.
as we've
Okay.
seen.
So that's why I was confused because like he made things gray and I thought like maybe that was a thing. Like maybe she was special in that way or something, but
No, so that's a staple of awakening.
I don't know.
Because like I think during that part where she's awakening under the tree, she notices people watching her. He's like, yeah, well, not everyone besides an awakener
Yeah,
walks
walks
around
around
with
gray.
gray
Mhm.
clothes. Like obviously everyone's gonna know you're an awakener.
But I was talking about like when Vasher did it in the prison at the very beginning of
I think they
of
mentioned that
the
the
thing.
stone floor becomes more gray. Like it drains,
Was
the
it?
flooring drains
Oh,
of
wow.
color. Yes. And there's also
I mean,
gray patches in Mercy Star's temple when he does
mhm.
awakening because they have to
Oh
replace the
yeah.
floorboards. Yeah,
I remember that now. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Only thing I could remember was the grayed out person or whatever.
yeah. No, there was also floorboards they had to replace.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so
I
yeah,
mean,
that is a
here,
staple.
I mean, Vasher's different in general though. we find out later.
I mean, Vasher knows a lot about awakening. He's like
Yeah.
very, very well experienced with it. But
So it wouldn't surprise me if somehow he was able to like make things not as dull or something.
I think maybe he's better at like figuring out what to turn gray. Like maybe he is better at like, oh, I'll definitely make sure I use the flooring instead of my own clothing type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think maybe he'd probably be better with that, but I don't think he could. As far as we know, like he wouldn't be able to do it without taking color from something.
Gotcha. Sorry not to derail it. I was
No,
just
no problem. It's good to make sure everyone's fully aware of how everything works.
because I was thinking I was going to make a comment that Vivenna and Nightblood are real similar, but never
Yeah,
mind.
no, Nightblood's special because he can make living things.
Living
He can
things.
take,
Yeah.
yeah, color from living things. Whereas that's only ever been seen with lifeless, and that's only when they're like dead.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so then Vasher says Vivenna isn't who he expected, and Vivenna asks to learn more about awakening. As he thinks about how to explain awakening, Vivenna notes that she hesitantly believed Vasher, which is why she's decided not to run away. And then we get into Vasher's big long explanation. We get like a proper
Oh,
full
this is my
explanation now.
favorite part of the chapter. This is
Yeah, you
so my
really
favorite
get
part.
that proper explanation of how all the types of awakening work.
Except one.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But so, yeah, so he goes on to explain that there are four types of biochromatic entities. There's the returned, which he calls spontaneous, sentient biochromatic manifestations in a deceased host. So, yeah, so it's specific that it's sentient in a deceased
Mm-hmm.
host. They're the only naturally occurring biochromatic entity. It is thought that because every living being is born with a certain biochromatic investiture, that explains why they retain sentience. Um, so yeah, because they're born with biochromatic investiture, they can retain sentience if they're spontaneously manifested. And then there is the lifeless, which are mindless manifestations in a deceased host. The closer a host is to a living shape and form, the easier it is to awaken. The amount of breath required isn't indicative of its power once awakened. They require anywhere from 1 to 100 breaths to awaken, and Vasher also indicates here that biochroma is complicated and people don't really understand most of it. And then we get the third type, which is what people generally just call awakening, which is a biochromatic manifestation in an organic host that is far removed from having been alive. It's noted that cloth works best, but other plant matter can be used. Bones apparently take more breath to awaken than a body held with flesh, and in general, biochroma doesn't stick well to type 3 entities and they require quite a bit of investiture. He also explains that simple commands are two-word commands, although some two-word commands can be complicated as well. So, before we go into the fourth type, what are your thoughts on these three types of awakening?
I mean, even before she asked the question about the fourth type, I was already putting together the whole sentience, no sentience, no sentience. And I was like, okay, so the fourth one has to be sentience. Like, but so like I think it makes sense. Not 100% sure on the whole. I mean, it's hard to fight with Vasher about breath. Uh, but the whole first one being uh
Spontaneous.
like
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
nature nature
There's,
made, but I
mhm.
mean, I don't know. Like
I was
I
gonna,
like said, it's hard to fight with Vasher about it.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
was
he
gonna
does
say
he
it's
does also say during the second one that it's complicated and people still don't really understand most of it. Like I think he says at
Hmm.
one point that like it's only been over like the last like couple centuries or something that people have started really getting more into awakening, and that they just don't understand it fully.
yeah,
So,
I was gonna say like I low key don't feel like the first one is like fully explained because I feel like he doesn't
Hmm.
entirely like know about it.
Well,
I
that's
feel
what I'm
like
saying. Like he's apparently, I mean, like I said, I'm using later knowledge too, but he's very good with breath. So
mhm,
it's hard to fight fight the explanation from Vasher that he wouldn't have some form of like a little more concrete evidence that it
yeah,
is nature made. And that's why I'm like, well, I my theories can all be wrong. I don't really care.
yeah.
I'm happy for my theories to be wrong. It's just it seems very odd for it to be nature made.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he says it's like a spontaneous, basically. I think he's basically saying that like it's just a random thing that happens to some deceased people. So he's not saying that it's like, oh, only if you die heroically. He's calling it spontaneous. He's
Hmm.
saying like it's random,
Yeah, yeah, which is
which
really
the
cool to
priests
know.
disagree with,
Hmm.
and I think also like probably scholar because I think Vivanna mentions in a different chapter. He seems very scholarly about it, and I think
Yeah,
scholars
he
and
doesn't
people in
miss one though.
general would probably know the least about Returned because they're not the ones doing it. Awakeners do stuff with Lifeless via their commands and breath and with Awakening. So those two are probably the most well known because those are ones you can affect directly and experiment with. Whereas
Yeah,
Returned,
exactly.
if they're just they occur, it's hard to really know why or how. So there's different theories.
Hmm.
And I mean, if Vasher
Makes
doesn't
sense.
believe in the Returned as gods, he's probably not gonna agree that that's like, oh, they're heroic and our gods returned. He's be like, well, the non-religious reason would be it's spontaneous.
Which I mean makes a lot more sense than them being heroic. So, because how is a baby heroic?
Yeah, again, how is a baby heroic?
I mean, okay, first off, how is any of them heroic in any way? Like, it just, I'm, it's hard to wrap my head around. Like, it's easy to wrap my head around, like, Light Song being somewhat heroic, maybe with the way he was, but like, I don't understand some of the other ones, like, Blushweaver. Like, how do you die so heroic and then get that title? Like, the title just doesn't fit to me to
Oh,
be
I do
heroic
want to
for
say
it.
at one point, I can't tell you it now, but so the way because it's not really a big thing, the way Blush Reaver dies is not mentioned in the book, but there is an annotation by Brandon where he tells
Mm,
people how she died, and I can at the end of the final episode, if you guys want, tell you how
yeah,
Blush Weaver died.
that would be
And then
great.
you guys can decide
Also,
whether it's a
we do.
heroic thing or not. I'm not going to say whether it's heroic or not, but
I got
there's
you. So
he does have a little information on
do you
her.
find out how you do find out how Lightsong dies though, right?
We do find out
In the
more
book.
information on Lightsong. I will tell you that. I'm not
Okay.
going to say anything
Okay.
about him, but we
Okay.
do find
Well,
out more
okay.
because he's a main
Something to that
character. We
extent.
do find out more
Yeah.
information about his past.
Um. Also, not on the topic of this book, so I want you to can you write it in your notes for the end here, uh, to remind me to there's something I wanted to tell you.
Wait, what?
Just write in your notes to remind me of what I want to tell you.
Remind
Like,
Mythic he
yeah,
needs to tell
because
me
I'll probably
something
end up forgetting.
after
Yeah, I'll
this
probably forget it.
episode.
It was something we were talking about, I think yesterday actually. But
Okay.
all right, go on. I'm
Okay.
not trying to derail.
I still I still think they're made. So yeah.
The returned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To be
I mean,
fair, we don't know how long Vashi's been alive, right?
We do not. I think he's
Do we?
supposed to look like he's in his like 30s, 40s. I'm not
Yeah, but the
100%
issue
sure.
is that people with a lot of breath and like,
They live a long time. Yeah, they're.
yeah,
I think
so
Vasher even says to Vemina like she's basically ageless at this point. So like yeah, he we don't know how old he is. He ages
yeah.
slowly,
But
if at all.
exactly.
if you do take into account returned have been here for a hell of a time.
Oh yeah, I mean, well,
So it'd be a
maybe.
little difficult if like people would pass on how returned actually worked
Yeah.
Hmm.
in secret rather than like,
And I mean, as far as we know, like although Awakening's only potentially been around for like a few centuries or whatever, like as far as we're aware, obviously like this magic is a natural occurring thing that's in everything. So probably returned have
yeah.
been
Hmm.
coming around since the humanity started. It's just no one knew how to extend their life. It's just suddenly your loved one has amnesia, they're alive for an extra week, and then they're dead again.
Hmm.
And I mean, you never know. They could have made a return by accident. Because all you really need is to speak something in your native tongue.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, I think that was the thing that was brought up
Yeah, it's also in this
previously.
chapter. Yeah,
It always has to be in your
but
native
yeah,
tongue.
pretty sure that's in this chapter
Hmm.
Also,
when he's explaining.
I don't know if they went into it, but when you return, do you have like a set amount of breaths or what's
I
happening?
mean, it said they're in a certain heightening
They're of the
when they
fifth
return,
heightening. I'm trying
but
to
not that they
remember.
can use it.
I'm trying to remember if they've said it in previous chapters or if it said in a future chapter. What I think Vivenna. No, I think Vivenna notes because when she sees the gods that they have a single breath that seems to be like infinite in power.
Hmm.
that
Yeah, but
brings
I'm
them to the
talking
fifth
about like
heightening.
a freshly, like, a freshly like returned.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
I think
yeah, I
a
think that's
fresh
what she's
return is
talking
said
about.
to
Yeah.
have one breath that's of the fifth heightening
Yeah.
automatically.
So basically, instead of having like 10,000 breaths, they have one single breath that's worth 10,000 breaths,
Yeah.
So would
which is weird to me. But yeah,
I mean, like, is that enough to power them for a while, or
I
No,
mean,
they
they'll
need the
have to
breath
keep
every
getting it
week.
every
okay?
one
So
week.
they would have
Yeah.
to get to that person as soon as possible
Hmm.
and start feeding them.
Oh
Yeah, you
yeah.
have to
So
get to them within a week and start
so
and give them a breath.
so they know, like they like literally know as soon as they're made, because we haven't heard any
Oh
talk of
yeah,
them
to
dying.
get them to the gods thing. I'm assuming at least in Halandrin, like if someone gets returned, they're probably like the town official, if you're not in the capital, is probably told, and then they get shipped off to the capital, and they might, depending how far from the capital they are, they might be given a breath before they get to the capital.
That's interesting.
which fits my narrative, which later fits my narrative even more. That Scoot was somebody that Lightsong knew because he definitely knows him, and it
Well, he's
doesn't
definitely
seem like
confirmed that it was
any.
someone he knew.
Well, yeah,
He's already
yeah, yeah,
confirmed that.
but what I'm saying is that Scoot is, but it doesn't seem like any of the other gods have a priest that is like that.
Would they accept returns from uh Idris?
I don't know if they would or not. We know Idris does get returned. I think returned
Yeah.
appear in everywhere around the world, as far as we
Mhm,
know.
yeah, and they
Um,
just don't live.
they just don't live. They just live that 1 week.
Mhm.
Because I know that. Yeah, I think Vivenna or Siri or someone mentions them, and they're just like, we just don't give them
Vivenna does.
breath. Yeah. And so I don't know if I think it might depend. I mean, if all the Idrians are very against the returned gods, they probably wouldn't send their loved ones there. They'd probably be like, no, this was Oster's will. They gave me an extra week with my loved one, and then I'll let them pass peacefully after the week.
Which is actually really awesome. I'm making how many people get that?
Right? Because even if they don't
Like,
remember you, they're still, as far as we know, the same sort of person. Because like Lightsong says, like he's always been the same personality since he was like born
mhm.
again.
Did,
So
did they discuss how they treat him there though?
I think
Mm,
they don't treat them badly. They just don't give them any breath. I think she just says that they
yeah,
stay with their families.
Hmm.
yeah. I
I'm
Imagine
mean,
they
assuming.
made him slaughter them though.
No, I don't think they do. I think they just feel like, because they consider it a naturally occurring thing as well. They just think it's terrible to feed them breasts. They're like, oh no, this is
well, yeah, because
fine.
you're giving somebody else's life to give them life.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another thought too. I'm wondering what would happen if you give breath from the returned, like multiple breath from the return to someone,
Oh, if like
like the
multiple
original like
returned
breath.
gave them to like one person. Because they
Yeah,
say it's like to heal them. So yeah, we don't really know. We don't really
and
fully know what happens to that person when they receive that breath from a
also
returned
that
god.
that breath is worth more apparently, right?
Yeah, we don't
Yeah, I
really.
mean, it puts them in the
We
fifth.
we
So
get told that they can do special healing things with it, but we don't know if that's just, well, when you have a certain amount of breath, you are basically immune to diseases and all these things. So we don't know if it's just
mhm,
because of that or if it has something extra special, which is what they kind of imply, but we don't know that for sure. And so
yeah.
we've never seen someone actually be healed by a god, so we don't know 100% what happens.
I just what I find very hard to believe, and it could just be, and it's I don't want to say it the way I am saying it, but I'm going to say it anyways. Uh, for writing
Mm.
in his writing style, um, but I don't understand how a breath from a normal person can give this god like life continued, because if that's the way it's supposed to be, if it's like they have a single breath that is worth the fifth heightening, how does a breath that isn't worth the fifth heightening gonna continue to sustain you, is what I'm trying to.
Well, it
I
also has to be from a child too. So
Well, we don't know it has to be from a child. We know Lightsong always
We don't
gets
know
it from a
that.
child.
Yeah, we just know Lightsun gets a child.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
We
Yeah.
don't
well
know that it has to be from a child.
Yeah, it hasn't been
something must
stated
be
it was
so
from a
bad.
child.
I think it's previously been implied that like the special breath they have when they become returned is what gives them all these special abilities, and then the extra breath they like consume to basically like, yeah, to
Stay
sustain their
alive. Yeah.
body.
Just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me if this one breath is so powerful. How a normal breath can sustain you.
Mm.
I mean, I don't. Okay, maybe if I think about it a little bit, it's like they're gaining another person's life, but it wasted in a week. But
It's like banning
I think
food.
the normal breath is
yeah,
basically like food for them because they don't need to eat. I think it's basically like you like normal humans. It's like you have something that keeps you alive, like your body keeps you alive, but then you need food to feed your body and keep it going. And the food only lasts you a certain amount of days. Like I think you can consider it that way, where the soul is basically keeping the body going, the fancy one, and then the other breaths are basically food for them.
I gotcha.
That's
Makes
how I would
sense.
kind of
Yeah,
consider it.
yeah. I have a theory on Suicide Bun later, so
All right, we'll get into that later when we get to him, I guess.
hmm yeah.
But yeah, so that was the first three types of awakenings, and then Vivenna asks about the fourth type, and if you can create an object with sentience. But Vasher says he won't answer her questions. He then tosses a cloth-wrapped dueling blade at her and tells her to learn to use it. She picks it up, surprised by how light it is, and Vasher tells her he has another group for them to visit. Why do you think Vasher doesn't want to talk about the fourth type of awakening?
Because he doesn't want to talk about Nightblood, which is annoying.
He like quickly is just like, no, we're not talking about that.
Like, come on, you. I'm sorry. It was like poor insight on Vasher to go. There are four types of heightening, and then only give her three. You could have just been like, "There's only three types of heightening," or
Yeah.
not heightening, but
You think to just be like,
like,
there's three types. There's
yeah. Don't
two that
even
are
go
based
into
on
the fourth.
people and one that's based on objects.
Yeah, like that would have been so much simpler. But like, nah. Let me tell her there's four, and then not give her the fourth. Like, man, Sanderson, could you just like, give us stuff that Vasher does, please? Like, I want to know things. Vasher went into these tunnels. We have no idea on that. Vasher talks about a fourth lightning. We have no idea on that. Come on, man.
I mean, just like Vivenna has hints, we kind of have hints of what the fourth heightening is
Well,
based on his
yeah. I mean,
explanations of the other ones.
we can understand that Nightblood is of the fourth reasoning,
Yeah, the
but
fourth type. Yeah, fourth entity.
yeah, but like, give us some information on it. Like, I have an idea and a theory about on how Nightblood became who they are, but like, I want concrete. Like, my theory is that to do so, you have to pretty much give your life to an object,
Hmm.
like in some sense. Like kind of like what they do, where they pour all of their breath into a single object.
Hmm.
I feel like that's kind of what you have to do, but you almost instead of maybe there's different wording,
Like
that
a
you
special
say,
command.
yeah, a different command that's like
So it's like a
I'm
lifeless
giving,
command, but to an object.
yeah, and
Because the
instead of
lifeless can't get
becoming
the
a
breath back.
exact, and instead of becoming a drab, you just die, and then
Mm.
you are the way I was thinking of it is the weapon is now on a what was it, awakened, basically a god, um
Returned.
because yeah, that's it,
It's a
that's the word.
returned object instead of a returned person.
Yeah, and like so that's why it's like Nightblood doesn't know his past. He's not that he seems to care, but he
Hmm.
doesn't know his past, which kind of makes sense on how he didn't know about the other person that was dead when they
Well, I
were
think
looking over at Vesher.
yeah, I think Basher says like he's forgotten or like he doesn't like to
Hmm.
think about the fact that Nightblood has killed her. Sashara, I believe her name is.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Like, what if Nightblood didn't kill her? What if she killed herself and made Nightblood?
You think
Is what
like
I'm.
all of her breath
Yeah,
went into Nightblood and that's why she
and
died.
then yeah, and then
That's
Nightblood
technically
became.
could be considered Nightblood killing her in a sense, where
Yeah,
like
exactly.
doing that
Exactly.
killed
That's what I'm
her.
saying. Like, just like what was the other thing I was thinking of? Can't think of who what was. Like how Dent believes that.
Arsteel? Is
Yeah,
that what
that's
you're
it.
thinking of?
How Dent believes that Vasher killed all Arsteel, or doesn't believe that he killed Arsteel,
Mm.
because technically Dent did it, but Dent doesn't want to say he did it. Is what I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking of. Like that's what I highly feel like that's what it is.
Mm.
That Dent somehow killed her or him, and that whole thing came down. But because that would make so much sense to me with his evilness.
Mm.
But that's what I think. I think you pour all of your, basically your breath and your life into a single object to
Mm-hmm.
make it a sentient object. And I think my running theory right now is that it's that the creator, what can't remember her name again now.
Sashara.
Uh, yeah, Shishara poured all of her essence basically into this
Mm.
object and created a sentient object.
See.
And in turn, that being that Nightblood killed her. But
What are your thoughts, Darkness, on the whole fourth entity?
Just thinking about it, because that sounds a lot like like human sacrifice for like you know, it's like a trade, right? So
Mhm.
if that's how it works, technically it works the same way as a return, because you're technically sacrificing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but instead of like putting like all that, quote unquote, essence, like just like into something else, it just comes back to you. So
Mm-hmm.
God, how cool would it be to have like literally an entire like armory of just sentient objects?
that'd
Like have a
be
have a have a shirt, pants, boots, a
that'd be
hat,
a
a
pain in your head.
sword, a shield.
All the voices in your head. Oh my god. It's like,
Use
please.
me,
Life
use me.
life is strange. It's
Oh god. As
or
I
no,
feel
high
like
on life. High on life.
only
That's what it is.
extroverts could handle it. Only extroverts could handle
Oh
being
my
around that
god.
many people at once.
I would guess so. I would pick
I
up
could
one object
not.
and then like throw it away.
Nah, man, I'd love having all of those people, all of those
I'd
objects.
I'd pick
I
up the
mean, I'm not a
silent one.
we pick up the silent one.
Yeah, like the
Which other
like the
object is an
ignored.
introvert?
Yeah, the yeah the introvert of the group.
Oh my goodness.
Nightblood is definitely not an introvert.
No,
Definitely not. He wants to be with everybody,
He
you
loves
know?
everybody.
and
He
then
wants compliments. He wants
He
and
wants
then
to
you'd
praise.
kill
have
it. He wants to kill everybody equally.
you'd have to make sure that the items also get along with each other.
Anyways, we should we
Nah.
should move on to the next chapter. We've been talking for like half an hour
Next
on one
chapter.
chapter.
Next chapter. I mean,
So
hey,
chapter 47, we then have Light Song's point of view, who is trying not to think about his dreams. He is standing on the second story of his palace, looking over the court of gods. He notes that there are palaces that hold no gods and are currently dark. He also notes the perfection of everything and how it baffles him how much effort people put in for their gods. We then get Light Song mentioning Calm Seer, who apparently mentored him when he first returned. She
wait,
apparently
one second.
was. Hmm?
1 second, because you glossed over it. Because I'm going with you on the thing.
Hmm.
He also asks, what happened if there were more returned than places? Would they build more, or
You
would
know,
they, or why is there not? Basically, he's saying why is there not? There's always a set amount of returned.
you know what's funny?
Yeah.
I thought about that too, and I also thought she's gonna gloss over this, like she glossed the furniture in the game.
Yeah, I
I'm
know, right?
sorry.
What
Well,
would
because
happen?
we kind
What
of
would
went over
happen if
something
too
like
many
this
returned
before.
before
Well, no,
we
because we
killed?
went over this way in the past when they first got to the Court of Assembly, because there was the boxes. Remember, there's a set number of
Hmm.
boxes around the assembly, and we talked about it then. So I didn't think we needed to talk about it again.
Would they build more palaces?
I don't know, because they always say that they have like basically, I think they say they
Always been
have
enough
twice as
space.
many palaces and boxes as gods. So like they've never had that many at one time.
But what would happen if they did?
I don't know.
Would they kill each other? Ooh.
Put a lot of
God
pressure
fight!
on them to like uh give away their breath. You think
I
God
it's
wonder if
fight!
time? We got other returned waiting on this palace.
I wonder if they recycle them.
Oh shit!
Mm.
You know what I mean?
You have
Like
to
Yeah,
share your
you,
they recycle
palace.
palaces. They recycle
yeah.
palaces. He does make that. He doesn't make that. That has been stated before that
Yeah,
somebody
they, they
is.
they never make.
Other people are in the,
So they
another
obviously have
palace.
like the set number of colors, and then they just
Hmm.
like you get whatever colors there are options available at the moment.
Yeah,
No
and,
way.
some people are just unlucky, like
Like Mercy
whatever her
Star,
name was. Yeah,
who got the what was it,
That
orange and
sucks.
gold?
orange and yellow. Yeah, orange and gold. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's always a metal in a color.
Oh. What is Light Song's colors?
Red and gold.
Oh, okay.
Uh, they share they share metal.
They do.
Yeah.
Blushweaver was green and silver.
I only remember these because of
Like
Harry Potter.
Gryffindor and Slytherin, yeah.
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 What was the other one? There was another person, wasn't there? Like who
No
the
one else had
child?
like a. Well, Hopefinder had
Yeah,
a
I was.
I think like lavender and silver or something like that.
Was it lavender? That's okay.
Yeah, it was like a
I don't
purple
know.
and silver. I think it was like a light
I just
purple and
remember I
silver.
just remember he was my favorite colored.
Yeah, it was a
So
very pretty color scheme. I think it was like
yeah,
lavender and silver or something like that.
yeah.
You
I don't
got
know if
lucky. You
did we
got a nice
get
one.
did, did we get mother
All
all mothers colors?
mothers? I'm not sure. I can look it up. All mother. Uh, see what her color scheme is. Appearance, tributes.
Black and silver.
Black?
Or
Anything?
I'm sorry, gray and silver.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. I don't think anyone's allowed
Old
black
woman.
except the.
Old
I was
woman.
thinking that. I was like, I wonder if they use black and white. And then in my head, I was like, wait,
No,
this literally
no,
is a
because
city of color. So,
yeah, yeah, but black is God King colors. So
hmm
All right. Anyways,
no, okay.
So
got
yeah, so then we get mentioned Lightsong mentioning Calmseer, who apparently mentored him when he first returned. She apparently was similar to Allmother, but didn't do the things she did just so people would continue worshipping her. She apparently often
Hmm.
felt guilty because she couldn't live up to what people expected. Lightsong suspects that this is what drove her to answer a petition eventually. He thinks that they asked them to die so that people can keep believing. You have any thoughts about the notes on Calmseer and stuff there?
I mean, Comseer seems like a great person that I'm hoping Lightsong lives up to, and that I'm hoping I'm 100% wrong
Oh
that
no.
Lightsong is the bad guy.
Thought you were gonna have an even bigger theory, but yeah.
What if we're expecting Lightsong to be the bad guy, but in the end he's just self-sacrifices himself?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping because I was thinking about it for these last couple days. I was thinking about the fact that just because Dent was a bad guy that seemed like a good guy, he wasn't a main character. Like he wasn't given like the point of view
Mhm.
where everybody that we have met that has the point of view still seems like a good person, and I'm hoping that they stay a good person because they're supposed to be the main characters.
Mhm.
But it would be a great twist if one of them wasn't.
So then we get Larmar quietly approaches and asks if Lightsong is okay. Lightsong insists he isn't a god, but Larmar states that he is worshipped and that makes him a god. Lightsong then says there is something different today. He admits that he had hoped Allmother would know what to do with the commands and that he wasn't good at details. Lightsong then thinks that the first one of them to change the commands takes control of both armies. He thinks on the fact that he's one of the most popular gods among the people. He also notes that Allmother often avoids other gods in the court assemblies, making him worry that Allmother might not have the political savvy to understand that Ciri may be manipulated. What do you think Allmother would have done with the commands and the vote that comes up in the final chapter? Because although we're not on that final chapter, I'm kind of curious. Like we know that Allmother doesn't do anything with the commands. What do you think she would have done? What do you think, based on her personality and Lightsong's worries here, would have happened?
What do I think she would have done with the commands with the vote that comes up?
Yeah, if she had just taken both commands, what do you think kind of she would have done?
I mean, I think she's going to be on the opposite side of kind of like with Lightsong with what Lightsong did or should have done in my opinion. And she would have like denied the war, and then that would have basically been
A
uh
50-50 vote.
yeah, a 50-50. Well, yeah, because like he states later that really everybody else is placating. They don't really have a say in whether
Mhm.
they go to war or not. The only people who technically have a say in that point are Lightsong and Blushweaver because they
Mhm.
have all of the commands.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do? Force a god to, you know, make their army attack? Like, I mean, it doesn't seem like that's how this city is ran. That they just force their gods to do things.
Mhm. What do you think, Darkness?
I think she would have been against it, and definitely even if like they tried forcing her by some other method, she would have just been too stubborn to like let it go.
Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, it's not like they can just steal their children or anything.
So, yeah. The Night Song presses Larmar to know who the woman in his dreams was.
Oh, this is so good.
Larmar won't say who she is, but he does say that she wasn't his wife or lover, but she was very important to him, and that she is still alive. After some contemplation, he turns and walks towards the steps. Who do you think the woman was, and are you surprised she is still alive?
Not surprised she's alive.
You know what would be a twist?
Hmm.
Really funny though. What if what if the reason we haven't seen their brother, like Vivanna in series, is because it's Lysong?
I'm pretty
No.
sure their brother's still alive. I think they would have
Yeah.
No,
noted
it
if he
would
Um.
have been funny as
wasn't.
fuck though.
Well, I mean, even with, I mean, like, if that was true, right? Like, he would be. I feel like he would be seeing his sisters, you know, in his vision instead of some random girl, because she doesn't seem, from what I picture, either one of them being, doesn't seem like either any of the three of the three girls. So,
Hmm.
but I still have a inkling that it's a family member in some way, shape, or form. I feel
Hmm.
like it's either a sister or maybe his mom or something, um, which would be very interesting.
Hmm. So yeah, she was very important, but like obviously not in a romantic sense to him, based on the fact that she's not a wife or lover.
The other idea I had during when from what I can remember when this actually happened, I was reading this.
Hmm.
Uh, it seems as if Larmar has like a somewhat connection to her, just the way it's, I don't know, portrayed in my opinion. That maybe was kind of going left field. That maybe they were like Lightsong and this woman were like best friends, and she was actually Scoot's lover.
Mm.
Um, and then like that would also make Scoot his best friend and by proxy, kind of idea.
Mm.
That's why he definitely seems to care more about Lightsong than I feel like any of the other priests who've been shown to care about their gods,
Yeah. Well, we know
except
that they did
the
know
God
each
King.
other, so.
Yeah, except the God King. I think
Hmm.
Larmar and Treleades, I think it's Treleades, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Treleades are very protective of their god in like that sense, almost as if they knew their god
Mm.
and like a previous sense.
Yeah.
Um, Treleades is probably more of he's lived there so long enough and served the God King
Yeah.
since birth, and like obviously you're gonna get attraction, and then
Yeah, I mean,
Scoot
Susebron didn't really
obviously, yeah,
technically know anyone before he returned because he's
yeah,
been
exactly,
returned
because he was
since
a
a
baby.
baby.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Well,
Trelawney's, I'm assuming, is old enough that, yeah, he's probably been there Susebron's whole life, or the majority of his
hmm,
life.
yeah, and that's so he would obviously be connected, but like that's the only priest that seemed to show like a genuine interest in their charge.
Well, we don't
So,
really get points of view from other gods, so as far as
well,
we
that's
know,
right.
they could also have close relationships with their
Yeah,
head priests. Those are just the two that we get more of a relationship
man.
with. So,
I mean, we kind of get one with what was his name? Nanamar, Nanvar,
Nanrava.
yeah, Nanrava. Yeah, we kind of get when the very beginning when Vash is talking to him, he doesn't seem to really like. He kind of almost berates his own god.
Hmm.
Like he doesn't seem as attached to his god because he like steers Vasher away from that. Like in not like a sense of like, oh yeah, my god doesn't, wouldn't be able to do that. It's more like my god really isn't that kind of person,
No,
and you're
remember
not that.
we got that confused. It wasn't Nanrava who Vasher met with. It was a different guy named Bebed who works for
Oh, it was
someone
Bebed.
else.
Okay, well, but
Yeah,
they were still a priest. They were
yeah,
still a priest,
they
though.
were a priest. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was a head priest. Was Bebed a head priest?
I thought he met with Nanrava, but
No, I we got confused last episode about that.
eh, gotcha.
They don't
I
say
mean,
if he's a head priest. They say that he's a priest who wears green and white, which represents bright vision, the true. And yeah, they just call him a priest of bright vision. We don't know if specifically he's a head priest.
hmm.
So he could be like an upper priest, but possibly not the
Yeah,
head priest.
possibly. Yeah, maybe
I
all
don't
the
think
head
he really
priests do
comes
actually
up
care
again
about it.
outside of that
Mm-mm.
chapter. So
Not really. Just like his god.
did you have any thoughts, Darkness, on the woman that's not Light Song's lover?
Do we lose darkness?
Darkness?
No, I'm thinking.
You're
Oh,
thinking.
okay. No worries. No worries.
Um, I'm just trying to get rid of all the possibilities. Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I don't think it. Yeah, I think the strongest like possibility here is like it being a really close friend.
hmm
That's
Basically,
about
anything
it.
but romantic interest is on the board. So family, friend, type of thing. Those are on the board. Lover slash wife is not.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he kind of already made that clear. I mean, if he's being truthful,
I mean, from what we've seen,
I
he's
mean, I
he's
would assume he
been
is. Yeah,
mostly truthful.
yeah.
We don't
I
have any
assume he
reason to doubt
is.
it.
So,
Yeah, especially considering how like like nervous he seemed to be about like mentioning it. Because I think he mostly just like doesn't even say anything. He just kind of like nods
nods.
and like whispers.
Yeah, which I mean, even that is like I feel like going against the rules set by the or
Yeah,
like that's how he's pushing it for sure.
yeah.
What's Do you guys remember off like just the top of your heads what the description was?
Description of her.
I
Yeah.
think she had like brown hair and like tanned skin, maybe.
And then
I
I'm
think she
pretty
was a
sure the
youngish
eyes
woman. I don't think
blue.
she's really old, so I don't think she's like a grandma or anything. I think she
I
was
mean,
like
she
a.
could be now.
I mean, she
Be
could be
now.
now. I mean, it's only been 5 years though. She might be like middle
But
aged at most now.
but what I'm saying is like maybe he's not been maybe he's been dead for a lot longer than 5 years.
Yeah, I guess we don't know.
He's only been returned for 5 years.
What if it's his daughter?
Mm,
Could be.
that would be hmm. That'd be interesting.
Yep.
I mean, it still goes with the family idea, but yeah,
Yeah, family or friend is kind of the two options.
very close friend. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 'cause she was important, so obviously it would be someone he's very close to. Probably like if it's a friend, probably someone like he grew up with, or like they like shared a lot together. In their friendship,
I
like
mean, the fact that
sister level
she's
of
a
closeness, but a friend.
what if she's another god?
That's
Could be. You think though he'd recognize her then from the dreams, because he seems to like have a good impression of what
but
she looks
I
like.
mean, especially later when they're all together. But
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you think he would notice her if she was
you
also a
could,
god.
but do we know if like it alters them? Because we know it
uh,
does change physical like
we don't.
traits
But it,
for them,
that,
but
that does get into my theory about Susaban later,
Okay, we can get into that later then.
though.
All right. Well, let's do the time skip to the Lifeless Enclave,
Mhm.
which is technically part of the Court of Gods. It's known that there are guards in a hallway leading from the court. It's also known that the servants cared for the lifeless, making certain their ichor alcohol is fresh, that they exercise and such things. Inside is apparently 4 large warehouses, each for the different group of lifeless, a track for them to run around, a room filled with various stones and blocks of metal for them to lift to keep their muscles strong, and a medical area, again for the ichor alcohol testing and refreshing. There are also several twisting passages designed to confuse invaders, and it's noted that the lifeless are always left in the dark when they're in like their little warehouse. So yeah, just any quick thoughts on the lifeless enclave?
Kind of what I thought. Throw them in a building and kind of just occasionally come in here and there.
Apparently, they need to work their muscles.
I mean, they are undead, dead like people, so
Any thoughts, Darkness?
um, I hadn't given it too much thought on the fact that they might have to exercise. But besides that, I mean, I assumed they just kept them like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even think they'd exercised. Okay, like I'm like they're dead. Like
Oh, you expect bodies to be stiff, so
Gotta keep those muscles from stiffening up. Can't go into rigor mortis.
I
Um,
mean, yeah.
yeah, so then we go into the viewing platform, and Larimar notes that he has sent a servant to fetch the lifeless that are currently exercising, because I think there was like gaps in the ranks.
Hmm.
Lysan then orders all the priests out, saying he will bear this command himself. It's also
Which
noted that the
is insane.
yeah, so it's also noted that the God King can break lifeless commands easier than most, but it still takes him weeks to take control of 10,000. He also notes that he would only let the God King know of this phrase, and he would like whisper it to him. And
Later, yeah.
yeah, and his if he has the chance, he would whisper it to him. And his new command is Red Panther, which we know
Which
where he
is
got that
awesome.
from.
Hmm.
It's then noted that the new command sticks, meaning All Mother has not come here first. He then slowly goes through giving the lifeless the new commands in groups of 20 to 30, which I cannot imagine how fucking long that would take. Because he's got to do 20,000. Because once he's done it with his own, he takes command of All Mothers as well. And then
Hmm.
he would draw both armies to him, and in doing so, he would take his place at the very heart of the fate of two kingdoms.
Yep.
So yeah, are you surprised he didn't let Larimar know the command phrase, and are you surprised he would tell the God King, considering it doesn't seem like they've had any interaction?
Um, no and yes. It doesn't surprise me that it's Intel Scoop. Mainly because I feel like I had that feeling it was gonna happen.
Hmm.
And then it doesn't it doesn't and does surprise me that he would tell the God King. I thought he was gonna tell Siri
Hmm.
because they've had a lot more interactions. Um, Even if it was like, "Hey, here's my command phrase. Tell your husband." I still thought he would give it to Siri.
Um, I agree with the priest part where it didn't really surprise me that he didn't tell, right?
Mm.
Because obviously he's like trying to step up, take things on his like own. But um, I didn't think he would like try and tell the God King. But if he does, then the God King, knowing Susaran, he could just tell Siri himself.
Yep. And then Siri
Which,
will start the war, and then his prophecy will. Yeah.
what if she accidentally is the one slaughtering everyone?
Well, what if it's not accidental? Because the other part of his dream was Susabron dead. So, well, I reread it. It says the God King dead, and it
Yes.
goes into my theory. So I don't want to say it yet,
Okay, we'll go into
but
that.
but it says the God King's dead, and then
Mhm.
if he's dead, maybe he's dead for a reason.
Okay, so I guess we'll go into that later. So, chapter 48, we move into Ciri's point of view. She's laying in bed with the God King, as he apparently no longer
Mm,
leaves before she wakes up.
which
Uh,
is nice.
And as she lays in bed, she notes that they only had to avoid one thing, having a child. But she figured, however, that her act wouldn't have fooled the priests for much longer. They would have eventually noticed, I guess, that she was not pregnant after months of trying. Susie Brown wakes up, stroking Siri's hair, and they exchange "I love yous." It's very, just like very cute and cuddly kind of moments between the two of them.
Yeah, I wanted to puke.
Susie Brown then asks how long until she will birth a child, which Siri is not sure of, as she knows some women struggle to have children, and some give birth exactly 9 months from their wedding night. She then worries that her potential child will be in danger, as she is well. Do you think the fact that Susie Brown was staying in bed with Siri is one of the reasons that the priests in the final chapter begin moving forward? Because like usually he's
Yes,
gone before she gets up in the morning.
yes, 100%. Oh my god.
Like
They
you think
fucked
they
up
would
really
think about
bad.
that? Sorry, what did you say, Darkness?
I said they fucked up really bad, to be honest.
Like they're definitely giving away that they're
The
like
two of
spending
them?
more time together.
Hmm.
Yeah, the two of them fucked up? Yeah, I agree.
They fucked and
Eh,
fucked up.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Like my theory before was like they don't really need you to have sex. They just need it to seem like you've had sex.
And they
Yep.
also
Is
didn't want her specifically interacting with him, so the fact that they're staying in bed
exactly.
together longer, like
Well, exactly. And like the other thing is though, they obviously knew who like Susabron. They obviously knew he wasn't gonna like initiate anything. So all they had to do was throw her in there for a couple months and be like, "Oh yeah, they had sex. Okay, cool." Whisk her away, and then you would never have to worry about it. The fact that his whole schedule has been changed and he's asking questions and he's doing all these things does
Yup.
not bode well for the fact that they don't know shit.
Right.
Like, come on. And
No,
the worst part is I don't even blame Susabran. I blame Siri because Susabran is a child in his mind. I swear. He's like a
you know
child in an adult body.
that theory you have right now is like it makes so much sense. The fact that they didn't really have to teach him how to do stuff
No.
because they didn't really expect him to
Okay,
actually.
so here's my next. It kind of goes into what I want to say, so I'm gonna say it anyways. Um, I don't. I think what happens is it's not another child. I think it's the God King just keeps getting like remade himself. Like I don't remember
Interesting.
where I was putting something together and I don't remember what it was from because
Like a
me and my brother were
reawaken,
talking about this.
like a return
Yeah,
return.
like okay, so like return lose their memory when they become returned.
Hmm.
What if his quote unquote death is then a rebirth into a new body, meaning that the God King is never technically a different God King. They're always the same God King.
So he like dies and then somehow returns into a child's body, a baby's body.
So, yeah, and that's why the breath go. That's why the treasure is given to this new child. That's why,
Mm.
or he. I don't remember why I thought this. I think it was just because I was hoping for something. Oh yeah, I was hoping for powers. I remember I think I was watching something and thought shapeshifter. Um, and I was like, it would be so cool if he could like shapeshift in some way and maybe grow his tongue back. And then it started
Mm.
a spiral of like, what if he shapeshifts into a baby and then grows up again? Um, like so it's never really a new child. Maybe they have like this
Oh,
thing. They didn't find a baby that's returned. They just know that the God King is going to change again soon, so they have
So
to
yeah,
move
so
things along faster.
they didn't even move along the schedule because like they're just like, oh, it's time for them to get married, so we might as well work on it now, type thing. You mean?
Yeah, like it's something. It just
if,
seemed like something was there, and I don't remember what it was. I have to reread again. That like immediately tipped me off on it. And then I started putting pieces together of like I feel like he's. It's hard to say. I don't think he's a shapeshifter, but I feel like he re-returns.
You can like de-age and then begin
Yeah,
aging
like
again,
something
and then
like
like
he
he loses his
re-returns.
memories maybe when he
Yeah, because he's
de-ages.
returning. Mhm.
Hmm. So he's returning, but also somehow like de-aging at the same time.
well, I'm thinking about it. Like I'm thinking about this theory that you're having, and when a person returns, they lose their memories, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
So what if instead of like no, I mean, I'm pretty sure this is like sort of what you were going for. Instead of them like de aging and just starting over, what if they like move their like consciousness and everything into that
To the
new
baby.
body, like the new
Yeah,
baby,
that's
Hmm.
what
and
we would.
then
Yeah.
yeah, so
Mhm.
it would make a lot of sense for that to happen because you literally like the mother lives until well, you know, and then makes sense for the God King to die. The breaths are
Hmm.
still there. Like the God King's death in Light Song's vision would make sense, and it wouldn't be that terrible.
Yeah,
But also
exactly.
think about it. he's going he's going into Siri's child
Well,
after
not
he
what
made
what
that child.
what if it's not Siri's child though? That's what I'm saying. Like, because did I lose you?
No, I get it.
Okay.
But
What if because all right, all of the other returned cannot have children.
Hmm.
What makes him different? Why is he able to? Like, or is that maybe a ploy put out there
it's
to
false. Yeah,
seem like he can repopulate the make a new god king every time, but really it's never changed the god king.
it's
And
just
then
him getting reborn.
the reason he uh, can remember his mother, maybe that is a kind of like what Lightsong has these like visions of like this woman. Maybe that's kind of what it is. He has this vision of a woman that he assumes is his mother from probably the very first time he's ever done this.
Mm. Going with your theory, it could also just be potentially like someone who was like a servant to him previously, or like maybe it was his past self's wife and she thinks she did give birth to this child.
Hmm.
Like, because like before Siri, like they may have actually had the women go through potentially getting pregnant, or maybe like they impregnated her another way if they can't, and then like she has a birth and then they like swap the babies.
Well, I know later when they're at the
Because he does have that book
event.
that he remembers her reading him. Same
But
thing.
this makes me question why Siri?
What
Why
do you mean?
Siri? What?
Like, why bring Siri into this? Because I mean,
Well, because they want the
the
royal
original,
bloodline. They want to,
yeah,
if it, even
the
if it's not
original.
a real even if it's not really her child, they want to say they have the royal bloodline back in
Hmm.
Halandrin, so that they can, so that there's no contestation over the Halandrin throne.
Exactly, because like
Oh,
it's not like they can prove, like they don't have to prove that their hair changes.
Because they can just say that the God King wouldn't do that because he's a returned.
Yeah, or they could say it because like it doesn't seem as if. Well, actually, no, the dad did. Never mind. Dad did change his hair color.
Yeah, the guys can change their hair color
Yeah,
too.
I was gonna say maybe men can't, but never mind. I forgot the dad did it. But yeah, like it's easily written out. Basically, it's easily like, yeah, you know, he has the royal locks. He just doesn't show you, or
Yeah.
he has the royal locks, but he lost that because he became a return.
Or as long as he has
You know?
black hair, they can just be like he's just keeping his emotions in check.
Yep. I mean, there's a lot of ways that that could be fixed. He could also, and here would be a really amazing turn of events. Maybe he can change his hair color already.
And just doesn't know it.
Hmm. I mean,
what
maybe
if they
he
just
has
dye
that
his
ability.
hair?
He seems very intent on getting her to change her hair color. Maybe he'll eventually be like, "Hey, I can do that too," and then
I
does
mean,
it.
we did learn from Hoyd that the reason that the royal family can change their hair color is because they're descendants of the returned.
Hmm.
That's the theory, is that they're the descendants of a returned, and that's why their hair color changes. Which we still don't know
So
how that returned potentially had a child.
exactly. Maybe they can all have children. We'll throw that out there. I just I don't know what I don't remember what tipped me off. I'd have to reread again to figure it out. But I
It takes
remember
me.
there being
Yeah.
I had a theory that he might, like, I remember having the theory before, and then it kind of got more solidified. Um, that he is in some way able to, like, I originally it was grow appendages back because I was like, I really wish he could grow his tongue back
Mm-hmm.
so he could speak to people. Like, my thought was like Siri's gonna get like killed or kidnapped or whatever. He's gonna be like super enraged, lose his control, and like his power would like grow a tongue and he'd be able to scream,
I
or
think I
something.
might know where you got the idea from, and I think it's going to come up in next chapter, so maybe we'll go back to that next
Okay.
chapter.
Okay. Maybe.
Do
I
you have
don't
any
remember
more thoughts,
where. I have
Darkness,
to read it
before
again.
I go further with this chapter?
Nope.
All right. So yeah, so Suzerain then states that he wants to try making himself known to the people and other gods, taking control of the kingdom for himself. Suzerain suggests Ciri help him, but Ciri thinks others would think her crazy if she told the truth. Suzerain then suggests talking to Lightsong, and Ciri suggests running away, but Suzerain says that they'd be abandoning Idris to invasion. He apparently has told his priest that he doesn't want to go to war, but they have done nothing. Ciri then worries that they also wouldn't be able to get Susebron his one breath a week to keep him alive, but Susebron states he's been told he can survive on the extra breaths he holds. Susebron then states that the next meeting at the General Assembly will decide whether Halandrin marches on Idris, and Ciri says she'll sit with Lightsong for his help with other gods, and Susebron will show he has no tongue. Considering that we know that their plan doesn't get to come to fruition, do you think it would have worked?
Um, I feel like it would have created chaos. I don't know if it would have worked the way they want it to.
Mm-hmm.
Only because in the later chapter when she's attempting to go talk to Lightsong before she gets whisked away, um, it just, to me, even when she was saying it, I was like, "But what is that gonna do?" Like, you're gonna go tell him, he's gonna tell other gods. Nothing says they're gonna believe him. Like, you have no proof. And like the only way you have proof is when he opens his mouth. And that right there could be enough chaos in general. Just Susabron walks out and opens his mouth and shows he has no tongue. Like,
Especially with all the people down below.
yeah, like that would create a lot of, strife that I'm sure the priests don't want.
It
Which is
could
Go
also
ahead.
turn on her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're relying a lot on Light Song in their plan.
They really are.
Which
Hmm?
which Vivenna also made the mistake of relying on someone who she probably shouldn't.
Yep, true.
Because you know what's crazy?
Like sister.
Lightsong did bring up the fact that if she relied on him, he probably would fail.
hmm He's also changed a little bit though over
Yeah,
this
a
book as
lot.
well. He's
Yep.
gotten a bit more confident
Changed
and
a
tried
lot.
to be more involved in things.
Yeah, but you don't know what kind of failure he's talking about.
Yeah,
So.
we don't know what'll happen. We don't know. I think he was at that point mainly talking about like he's like I don't do shit. I'm not gonna be able to help you, but we don't know at this point.
But that's the image he was spinning. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we then get to chapter 49 and Vasher's point of view, which we haven't. I don't think we haven't had a Vasher point of view for a while. We don't get it for the whole
I know,
chapter,
right?
but we get it for a bit. So that's kind of nice. So he's creepily watching Vivenna through a window, held by an awakened rope around his waist that has lowered him from the roof. And she's practicing
Ugh.
awakening. And Vivenna,
I love his explanation on how he puts commands in.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So Vivenna is able to get an awakened cloth to go to a cup, wrap around it, and bring it back to her without spilling the liquid inside. As he notices her making a mistake, has to refill the cup. He notes that he's a drab as his breath is stored in his shirt, so she won't notice him. He raises himself and lowers himself again so that Vivenna doesn't
By
see him.
tapping.
Yeah, and notes that he is using
That's
a
so cool.
complicated command that allows the awakened rope to respond to finger taps.
It's so cool.
Which is like, I don't know what fucking command you would even be able to do to like get that. So, and then Nightblood, I guess he's apparently carrying while hanging from this rope, notes that he likes Vivenna and she's pretty. Vasher says Nightblood can't tell that she is pretty, and Nightblood responds that he has decided he can tell. Vasher then has the rope lower him to the ground, and he retrieves his breasts. So what do you think about Nightblood liking Vivenna and deciding he can tell that she's pretty?
Well, like I said, I already had a feeling that Nightblood was, or that Vivenna was going to get Nightblood eventually, but definitely think that's much more solidified here later. But
yeah, I mean she's third training, so
She's in her
yeah,
training arc.
yeah.
the one I've
I
been
mean,
waiting for, the
yeah, I
training
know, right?
montage.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, pretty much.
And you were
Exactly what
right,
we're
she got
getting.
her training montage with Vasher.
Uh huh.
Yep.
I mean, it was. I don't want to say pretty obvious that Vasher was going to be the one that has to teach her,
I mean, he's
but
been the Awakener kind of
yeah,
like
he's like
expert.
yeah, he's the main. Well, I mean, not even that. He was the main character. He's the only main character that is an Awakener.
Yeah.
Like
He's like
Then being another
kind of a
main
main
character.
character and kind of not. We get very few perspectives from him, but we do
He is
get
a main
some.
character.
Yeah.
He's a main character. If we get a point of view from him, he's a main character to me. I'm
You
just
do say
hoping
that,
that
but
he.
there's always, I think, at least one chapter in every Brandon Sanderson book where you'll get a point of view from some just random ass character, and we do get one. I think it might
We
be the
haven't got it
last
yet,
episode.
though.
Yeah, I think we get it in the last episode.
Oh,
There's a random character that you'll get like a point of view from for.
oh my God! Now my head's gonna be wrapped around who the heck this is gonna be.
It's Mabo.
Oh my God! It's gonna be Scoot. I swear. It's not
It's always just
random
some
though.
random person. You usually get at least you get like this one random point of view. um Anyway, so yeah, so then we switch to Vivenna's point of view as Vasher enters the room she's in. She hides that she was practicing, knowing that she didn't like him to see her fail. Vasher then notes that both the main house and the safe house that Denth were previously using are empty. And Vasher says that he wants to meet with some Idrians during their lunch break in the orchards. Vivenna asks if their work is really going to help when Denth is going to more influential people. And Vasher states he knows he's behind Denth, but no one wants to be on the losing side of the argument. Vivenna asks about the priests, and Vasher replies that they're fickle and that even Nanrova, whom he had got on his side, had switched to being for the war. Vivenna then realizes that the carriage they knocked over had Nanrova in it, and it could be connected. And then we get a time skip of a few hours of Vivenna waiting for Vasher to get back because he'd headed out to check it out. She notes that Dent always brought her on information gathering missions, but that was likely just to keep her close. Vasher then returns, slamming the door open, and notes that Vivenna should learn to grab for her sword when startled instead of putting her hand to her chest unless she's planning to rip her shirt off.
Oh
Like,
my
what
god,
the
I loved
fuck?
that. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I was like, yep, you should definitely be doing that. Grabbing your sword and pointing it at him.
And I think her sword's like on the other side of the room. It's noted.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
like you
she
should really
hasn't
be
even
keeping this
touched it.
like it's like you should be keeping this like on your person at all times and like reaching for it, even if you don't know what to do with it.
I mean,
And then Vasher states that the real hit back then had been the carriage, not the robbery. And Vasher asks Vivenna a couple of questions about what happened during that plan, and then changes into a different shirt that has tassels on the arm. And I'm sure you guys want me to mention that Vivenna enjoys
yes.
looking at him while he's changing.
Yes.
I know that's
Uh-huh.
something you want mentioned. But yeah, he changes into a shirt that has tassels on the arm so he can command them to help with his grip, and he tells Vivenna the command is too difficult for her. He then also does the same with tassels on his pants to strengthen his legs and feet, and puts on a
Yet
tassel
she
coat to protect
listens.
him.
And she listens to every one of them.
Yeah,
And
she's like,
I'm
it might be
just
too difficult, but I'll keep them in my head.
oh, I'm just hoping. I'm so hoping later she just does it because he makes the comment. I'm pretty sure he has. I don't know. I think he made the comment already about the fact that she is very good
She's a very
at
quick
doing this.
learner. Which I mean,
Yeah,
considering what we know about her past with like her like getting all that information and being like really studious with her tutors, I'm not really
hmm
surprised that she's picking up things quickly.
but I'm just
Waiting for
waiting for her to
badass
be
Vivenna.
like, her to just be like, do like to use these commands that he is using, and like him just be like, how do you just know how to do this now? Like you're just good with it right now. Like,
Yeah. So
oh
my question actually was, do you think Vivenna will be able to use these commands at some point in the book?
yes, I also think she's going to use the command later, the other command later. But I'm no one knows what it was
Yeah, that we'll get to that
because
later. What do
Vasher
you
seems
think?
to do that a lot.
What do you think, Darkness? Do you think?
Oh yeah, I was so interested in
Yeah,
that
we'll
command,
get to that
but
later. I'm sure
I
there's
was
a
like,
lot of
"What
questions
command?"
about
And
that.
then it hit me. Um, yeah, I think she's definitely gonna use these commands. I don't think she's gonna get it perfectly though.
I
I
mean,
think
she doesn't
she's
seem to
gonna
get
be
everything perfect the
practicing.
first time, but she's pretty good at getting it after a couple tries, like with the rope untying
Yeah.
itself when she was kidnapped.
hmm
So,
Mhm.
Vasher then invites Vivenna to join him, saying he won't protect her, but he doesn't want her to follow him. She decides to come, and he shows her how to grip her sword. As Vasher says, even if she doesn't know how to use it, she can look threatening. Vivenna
hmm
also grabs some rope, which she commands to hold when thrown. They have like a brief note about how like she's like I'd rather like throw away these breaths than die, and Vasher's like most people would be the opposite.
Most awakeners would
Yeah,
not say that. I was like, yep, because she's not most awakeners.
yeah, and I think
And she
she says
doesn't
like she
want the
still says
breath.
it's like partially blasphemy. She's like I'm still not
Yeah.
fully okay with awakening, but I'll use it.
Yeah. I
Which I
mean,
mean,
yeah. I
fair.
mean, obviously.
And Vivenna then puts her breath into her shirt, so that she's not like she's visibly a drab, so she can't be sensed. And they leave, and they go into a slum
Mhm.
that Vivenna notes she had been too afraid to enter even when living on the streets. Basher leaves her for a few moments and then returns, stating there were guards, but they weren't good enough to answer questions because I think they were like too young. He said they were basically kids. He also can't use Nightblood because no one would be left to question, which fair.
Mhm.
So they skulk around the building a bit before Vasher takes up
Doesn't
some.
seem to stop him later.
Well, he's pretty pissed off later. Uh,
I know, but it still didn't seem to stop him.
yeah. They skulk around the building a bit before Vasher takes up some straw and makes three little men and commands them to find tunnels. Vivenna notes that Vasher speaks like a scholar, indicating he studied awakening very seriously. So yeah, who do you think Vasher was in the past? Do you think he was a scholar?
Mm, I don't know. I mean, I'm still running on the same theory that Darkness was before, that he was either the God King or an Awakened.
Or a return, do you mean?
Return.
Yeah, Return. That's what. Yeah, like, I'm still running on that theory.
Huh.
I mean, even if he was a return to the God King, he could have also been a scholar.
I don't know about that.
I mean, he's got a lot of information. I think she says he like talks like a scholar basically when he describes
Yeah,
awakening.
when he describes awakening,
He's
yeah.
very well
But I mean,
educated.
he knows this. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. That's why I said it's very hard to refute his. Uh,
Information.
yeah,
You have
and
any
knows what
thoughts,
he's talking
Darkness?
about.
Hmm. Who were those people that uh discovered the commands or whatever?
uh, they were
The ones. Uh huh.
the they were the five something.
They're coming for you.
There was the five visions, which were by the five scholars.
Hmm.
Maybe he's one of those scholars. Is that what you're going for, Darkness?
Are related,
Way
cause
older than he.
that that seems like a heavy source of information. So
Yeah, so it was the five scholars, and they were the ones who gave like the five visions or whatever way back when.
cause maybe it's just like passed down.
Maybe.
Like he could be a descendant, or he could actually just be that old.
Um, what all do we know about the five scholars? Five scholars. Cause it's back from Hoyd's story. Mentions that around the time of the five scholars, there was great discoveries about breath and commands. So I think they were basically leading the discoveries around awakening.
Hmm.
One of the five scholars was the ones who learned how to create a lifeless with just one breath.
Yeah.
And apparently they were there at the start of the many war, and they all joined different sides of the
Oh.
war.
Hmm.
So that is what
I
we know about
mean,
the five scholars.
it's possible. Oh, okay.
Sorry, I
Yeah,
was
I
just getting back to my
agree.
spot.
I agree with you. It's
I
possible.
was getting back to my spot in the notes. But yeah, no, that's definitely a theory, a booked theory. So eventually the straw men begin jumping up and down, and Vasher uncovers a trapdoor beneath a thick layer of dirt. He opens the trapdoor partway and grabs some bells before opening it fully. As Vasher takes his breath back from the straw men, he thanks each of them, and then they go down the tunnel. Why do you think Vasher thanks the awakened straw men?
Because they have sentience. Not really, but like kind of idea. Like that
Maybe.
I watched
Maybe.
this thing. I watched this anime called One Piece, and there's a guy who has a straw fruit, and he kind of thinks of his little straw people as real people too, even though they're just a part of him. So
Mm,
kind of makes me believe in like that. Like it's a part of him, but not a part of him at the same time. Like they have a somewhat sentience, even if it is just to throw out his will.
mm. Do you think darkness? Any thoughts?
Uh, probably he's probably just teaching Nightblood some, you know,
Some
um,
manners.
manners. Yeah. Nah. I think it's just the fact that maybe he thinks of like his breath, the breath he uses, as like, oh, they come from people, might as well treat them that way.
So he kind of thinks of them as like the souls of people, just like Vivenna and Ciri do.
Sort of, yeah.
So he's like thanking the people the breath came from almost.
Because if you think about it,
Oh.
if the way
Hmm.
we if the way we think Nightblood was created,
Hmm.
it would
Mm,
definitely have an impact in the way he thinks of breath and how
I
it's
see.
used.
I see.
I agree.
All right. So after a bit, they go through the tunnel and they get to a room with a fire burning at the center, and there's men talking and laughing. Seems like the top building is a front, and they live down here. Vasher makes his way along the wall with Vivenna following towards what they think is a second tunnel. However, the second tunnel turns out to be a nook in the wall that has a cage holding a child. Vivenna quickly guesses this is Nanrova's daughter. The cage stinks of human waste, and the child was covered in grime except for her cheeks, which are streaked clean by tears. Were you surprised to learn that they were holding Nanrava's daughter hostage this whole time? Which we learned, I think, in a couple paragraphs saying that it's been like 2 or 3 months. So
Yeah.
like they've had this poor
Uh,
girl in this cage for like 2 or 3 months.
okay, so first off, yes, I was definitely surprised that they had stolen a child. But I was listening to this, like podcast wise,
Hmm.
like through Audible while driving down the road, and I was screaming at my radio before it even stated how Vasher felt. I was screaming I was like, Vasher, fucking kill them. Just kill them all.
I can just
Fucking
imagine you
murder
like
every one
raging
of
in
them.
your car.
I was like, oh my god, what? Ooh, it made me like I was holding out for Dent, even though it was stated he's evil. I was holding out that he's gonna come up and he's gonna be like, not as bad. He's just been doing things because he's getting paid. Nah. If you can just allow these people to take a child hostage,
Which was probably his
you are
plan
you are
to have
you
take the
are
child hostage.
evil.
What do you
You
think,
are so
Darkness?
evil.
Were you surprised?
Um. Well, after seeing like all the bodies and deaths, and just like everything they're willing to do, they're mercenaries. So I figured I figured he'd do whatever it takes. Um, I did think they did take something important from the carriage, but I didn't realize it was a child, so that was a big surprise. Obviously, I felt disgusted. Obviously, I wanted something big to happen, like
Yeah.
just a giant mass, like just fucking slaughter.
Well, I mean,
I mean, we kind
we're
of
gonna
get
get
it.
into that.
Mm.
So yeah, so Vivenna notices Vasher looking very angry, and then they're noticed by one of the men.
Nope. First sad. First sad.
Yeah, sorry, first sad, and
Yeah,
then
he was very
very
sad,
angry.
and then it all of a sudden turned to anger
So Vasher
as
tells
she saw it in his eyes.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Vasher tells Vivenna to get the child out. Vasher then moves forward and begins attacking the men with a sheathed nightblood. The tassels of Vasher's sleeve grab one of the thief's swords and toss it aside. Vasher then grabs a man's head and the tassels wrap around like squid tentacles, and he slams the man onto the ground. And there's a whole bunch of fighting. And as he's doing that, Vivenna tries to open the cage. She knows she can't awaken the metal, so she grabs a thread from her shirt and tries to get it to unlock the cage. It doesn't work, but her second command, twist things, does work. She then tries to reach into the cage to get the girl, but the girl cringes away from her and screams when touched, which I don't want to fucking know what they've done to this fucking child that she's screaming when touched. Like, fuck these guys. I don't know if they've like beaten her or what's happened, but fuck them. Vivenna then looks back at Vasher, who seems larger, taller, and broader of shoulders. Nightblood's sheath is unclasped, and black smoke pours onto the ground, and some floats up to the ceiling. Vivenna distantly hears a voice saying, "Draw me, kill them." Vivenna
And I
calls
was hoping he would.
Vivenna calls out to Vasher, saying the girl won't come to her and that he doesn't need to draw the sword. She hears a voice in her head saying, "Yes, yes, there is." Vasher snaps Nightblood back into place and rushes over to her. He no longer seems larger and reaches out to the child, who immediately grabs onto his chest and weeps. Nightblood's text seemed a little different here, slower with like all the like ellipses in between. Why
Mm-hmm.
do you think Nightblood's tone of voice changed?
Go ahead, darkness.
I think it matches like Loki his state of mind,
Mm.
and his emotions, and also the fact that these people are definitely not, pure.
Yeah, but even when
So
killing other people, he's always like been pretty like happy-go-lucky, like, "Hey, look, I killed people. Aren't you proud of me?"
yeah, but I mean, like if Vasher gets mad, shit's going down.
I
So
see. So you think it's like matching Vasher's kind of
yeah, because it is
emotions?
like, well, his master, or whatever.
Hmm.
I mean, if somebody you like really like, gets upset, I'm pretty sure you getting upset is also like something that's not gonna like be
Mm.
able to get held back. Um, Also, actually, you know what? I'll let Mythic talk. Yeah, first.
Nightblood is evil. That's all I need to say.
Okay.
Nightblood is
Nightblood's
evil.
not
He
evil.
wants. Yes, he is. Okay,
No.
he can be as good as you want him to be, but he is evil because here's the thing, right? It takes fire to put out a big fire. You fight
Mm.
fire with fire. So how bad do you have to be to fight the evils of the world?
Mm.
Kind of have to be bad too. And now I think
I don't
having
know.
Nightblood
Pokemon
be
says you should fight
evil,
fire with water, so.
yes, but the saying is to fight fire with
I
fire.
mean, I think the saying is
Um,
don't fight fire with fire. To like saying like you shouldn't do something bad in
Well,
return for someone doing something bad to you.
that's true, but there also is the fire with fire one, which
yep.
Is
Okay,
there
like
also? I've only ever
yeah,
heard the don't fight.
firefighters.
Oh, I've only heard
Okay,
the don't fight fire with
yeah,
fire.
so firefighters will start a fire in order to snuff another fire out. As
yeah,
long as
'cause
you can
it
keep it
clashes
contained enough, it clashes and it
with
will
the
suck out oxygen, and then
yeah, exactly.
I see.
yeah,
I
it
didn't
will
know this.
stop fires. And so
Common knowledge.
it's. I mean, here's another analogy or thing would be you have to be like you have to be something to beat it. So like you have to
Mm.
become something to be able to beat something. So Nightblood. Now I don't think Nightblood is like dense evil. But I think Nightblood is evil enough because he's still murdering people.
You think he's like a lawful evil?
Yeah, like he
he
has his reasons to be evil, but he's evil.
he kills the evil people, and in the fact he's
And I
still
also
murdering is evil.
yeah, yeah, and I also believe Darkness's assessment that I think he is still playing off of Vasher's anger, and it's kind of
Hmm.
makes it a little more later when he says he has to stay calm or something to that
Yeah, he has like
extent.
a
Like
bad temper. He says
yeah,
he needs to be calmer.
yeah, and like it makes sense, and that's why I think, and this is where I was like, okay, so I feel like Siri is the perfect combo for Nightblood
Mm.
because while she's not, pure as pure can be, because she was before, but she's not as pure anymore.
You mean
She's
Vivenna,
still,
not Siri?
yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, that's
I was
what I
gonna
meant.
say I
Yes,
think you're
sorry.
thinking about Vivenna.
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
talking
like,
about Vivenna. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Names, words. But yeah, I think Vivenna having Nightblood, like taking Nightblood, is legitimately the best option because I think
Mm.
Vivenna could quell her emotions enough to be able to not one draw the weapon, and because it seemed as if Vasher was like about to be corrupted by it, by just
Mm.
the way it was explaining that he was slowly pulling it out, like
I think it's like arm was like vibrating or something. It said or
mm,
shaking. I think it says shaking.
yeah, something. But I
it
mean,
was probably
yeah,
struggling not to pull it up.
probably like his subconscious was probably like, don't
Yeah,
do this, and like his consciousness was like, nah, we have to kill these people. The best way to do that is to take this sword out of the sheath and kill them. And I feel like if he had, there would be no going back from that.
Mm.
But like I think it is playing on his emotions, but it is trying to be drawn. It wants to come out of its sheath.
I mean, it
Like,
does seem to want to, even when it's in like a lighter mood. It's always like, why didn't you
mhm,
use me? You should have used
yeah,
me. Why don't you kill
exactly,
them? He's always like he wants to be used.
that's
exactly.
cute.
So
He is
yeah,
cute.
he's definitely subbed. That's for sure.
Okay. Anyway,
Wants to
another
be
thing that I was
used.
thinking about when I saw this is uh Nightblood's definitely like a storage or like a conduit, like a sort of like if we're thinking on like game terms, like a stat booster.
Mm. Do you think he like can make
Uh
you stronger, kind of thing?
yeah, definitely. Cause I feel like
I mean, both Basher and the like random guy that we saw wielding Nightblood, like they can like break people's bones with him and like stab through people even though he's
Hmm.
yeah,
sheathed.
but think of the amount of breath and just like essence and like that the way it's working. Like
Mm-hmm.
it looks like it's altering Vasher's body literally
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
into like in the same way that a return gets altered when while they're returned.
Hmm.
Like they become bigger, you know, like
Yeah, I think they become
they're cute.
bigger and like more like the ideal, like they like become like more perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's a corrupted version of that,
And I was wondering, actually, this is the part, Mythic, where I was wondering if this is where you kind of got some of the shape changing ideas. Is like because Vasher kind of
uh
like
huh,
looks bigger
yeah.
here and then like doesn't anymore. I was wondering if that was possibly where you
I
got that
mean,
idea from.
possibly, but I mean, I had the idea that he was going to gain his tongue back some like 2 episodes ago.
Oh, okay. I don't know then.
Like, I'm pretty sure I made that. I don't know. We'd have to go back in the podcast to hear it, but I'm pretty sure I made the comment that I think something's going to happen that Susabron is going to like need to talk and
Mhm.
like through whatever magic he's either going to grow a tongue or he's just going to be able to speak.
Mhm.
Like the words are just going to manifest. And I was like, I feel like growing a tongue wouldn't be too far fetched, seeing as like you said, or like we've said now, um, returned tend to get bigger. Or, wait, returned, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's okay.
Yep. You
Returned
got the
tend to
turn.
get yeah, tend to get bigger and stuff. They seem much taller than
Yeah, they're like
normal.
at least like a foot. I think they're like around 7 feet tall or something. It says like they're all around like kind of like that sort of height.
God, that would be killer on your bones. But yeah, like they get bigger, so it wouldn't be so far fetched that Breath might be able to do something to that extent. It would be really cool. And that also in the fact that like Siri can change her hair color. Like that line can change their hair color. So it's
Mhm.
not so far off from believing that maybe he could grow a tongue back.
Mm.
Um, you know, and then you kind of just have been wrestling this idea you were talking about earlier when
Year
we were
darkness.
talking you
Oh.
uh, when we were talking about the petitions and like how they can give one person like basically a blessing with their breath.
Mhm.
um it made me start thinking about what if, kind of in the same vein of growing stuff back magic wise, what if maybe they can do it one time, they can actually like heal people, like
Mhm.
permanently heal people even from death. And
Mm.
maybe it's like it gives up their life to do so. And if that's true, would it mean that maybe Susabran can do it multiple times
Well, they say that he's
because
like.
he
I
has more
mean,
breath?
what they've said before is that like the. I mean, we don't know if this is true or not, but they basically said the God King can like, yeah, heal multiple people. So like they gave the examples of like curing a whole town of like a terrible
Yeah,
illness and
like
things
his
like
dad
that.
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
like his
Well, they
dad
say.
was supposedly doing.
Yeah. Well, I think they said at one point like he. I think who was it that said it? But someone was like, oh, he might not even have been in the area at that time when
Mm-hmm.
that happened. When they were like questioning whether like he
That's cool.
actually like gave up his breath to those people.
Mm-hmm.
When Siri was talking to like Hoyt or something.
Yeah, something like that. I remember that being a thing.
Yeah.
I don't. I thought Susabran had made the comment about his dad had
Well, I think Super
healed
makes
an
a comment at one
entire.
point saying that like, oh my dad gave up his breath to save a bunch of people, and
Mm-hmm.
then when like talking to Hoyt, he was like, oh yeah, he apparently did it for like the because I remember Lightsong commenting on it about the pooping themselves to death type thing, and the
Mm-hmm.
God King saved everyone from pooping themselves.
Yeah, but yeah, like it would be very interesting to see if like that is an ability that is given for being awakened, um, or not awakened,
Mm.
but
Returned.
returned. But I still even awakened is what I want to say awakened because like I feel like they're awakeners just doing it slightly different. Like they're
Well,
not
because
given the same
they're
powers.
biochromatic entities. Awakening is
Yeah,
specifically on like objects.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So
But like I
everything
feel
is a
like they're
biochromatic entity.
yeah, but I feel like
They're
yeah, exactly
invested.
that yeah,
They have a
exactly
biochromatic
they're
investiture.
yeah they're infected. Got it.
Invested. Investiture.
Mhm.
Infected. They're infected with breath. Um, but yeah, no, I agree. I think that it's not too far fetched of an idea that maybe their breath is actually like given properties to heal,
Mm.
and that's why they die. Like they're giving their life for somebody else.
Well, that's basically what
Um,
Lightsong says they're doing, right? Is that they're
yeah,
supposed to like give up their life to
but
heal
he's not.
people.
But he's not exactly explaining it. Like it's like like he doesn't know obviously, but like it seemed almost as if like if I just give my breath to these people, they'll magically be in the high heightening this high of a heightening, and they'll just be better. Kind of like Vivenna. I had to make sure I got that right name right.
Yep.
Vivenna, when she got her breath back, she was no longer sick. She was just better.
Yeah,
Like
we don't know fully what happens. We
so.
haven't seen
eh,
someone be healed yet.
Nope. We've heard about it. We've seen
Hmm.
it. Like we've seen Vivenna get her own breath back.
Yeah. Anyways, we should probably keep going. Why do you
Keep
think
going.
the girl instantly clung to Vasher but not Vivenna?
I mean,
Because we'll get more into that later, but like, the girl instantly likes Vasher.
yeah, but like I don't know. Like it seemed really fishy even at the time, and then it seems even fishier later. Just
So no
like
thoughts at the moment.
I feel like it's something to do with breath.
What do you
Basher's
think?
just really good.
What do you think, Darkness? Do you have any thoughts?
I don't know.
Okay.
Honestly, I expected Vivanna to get a more
Right?
like comforting reaction.
So we time skip slightly to them out of the tunnels and moving into a rich neighborhood of Tetelier. Ravenna worries for the child's mind as she has been there a couple of months with those thieves. And as they reach the mansions, Vasher pauses and tells the girl that he's going to say some words to her and he needs her to repeat them and mean them. He also tells Vivenna to back away, which she does. She watches Vasher speak to the girl and the girl speak back to him. With the breath she had taken back from the thread she had I can't speak, goddamn. With the breath she had taken back from the thread, which I believe gives her the first heightening, she notices that the girl's biochromatic aura flickers slightly. She seems to think that the girl is giving away a part of her breath, even though she doesn't believe that's possible. So, what do you think Vasher had the girl say or do, and do you think she really gave away a part of a breath? What do you think happened there? Because afterwards she has no memory of what happened.
Yeah, like almost as if she is a returned.
You think he somehow makes her returned there?
No, I think he like I don't know. I honestly, when I was listening to it, because I wasn't reading it while I was at work, I swore to my mind it was like he gave something to her, not like her giving
No,
back.
it sounds like it was the other way around,
Uh,
where she like her breath flickers slightly, and it looks like like almost like she gave a breath, but she only had one breath, so it's like almost she gave like a part of a breath, and like Vivian is like really confused by it.
um, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, when I was listening to it, it sounded like she was getting extra. But it does seem very similar to like not awakening, returned,
Mm.
where they lose memory,
Mm-hmm.
but like he's so good with it that maybe he is able to just take about like a piece of memory away instead of like it's all stored in her breath, and he can just take that part of the breath away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whatever he said to her, Vivenna needs to know so she can give breaths back to people.
And then yeah, and then the girl apparently says it back, and she has to mean it, is what Vasher says. So he's basically,
Hmm.
I think, telling her a command to use. It
Yep,
sounds like.
which is very cool.
What do you
It
think,
also made me.
Darkness?
It also made me think that maybe if you put, because she talks about how she could put breath, like only a specific amount of breath into objects. What if you put literally all but one breath into an object and then did the whole, my breath to yours thing?
I think also it's very similar to how they do the whole giving a breath to light song, where I think the priest specifically say to the child that gives their breath to light song, like, you have to mean it. Like, say these words and you have to mean it
Hmm.
when the child gives their breath to light song.
Yeah.
So
So,
I think it's
darkness. What is your theory?
yeah, Darkness, go ahead.
Um, I'm not sure. Um, it's uh, it's because for a second there I thought like, what if it like also has to do with like how night blood works?
Mm.
Because at some point we had a theory that Nightblood can like suck like a biochromatic essence or like breath from people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I still have that theory, but yes.
So what if like what if the reason they can do that is because there's a command for it, right? We've had that theory.
Possibly.
Hmm.
So if there's commands for it and Vasher really doesn't want to get into it, it's like a whole other reason why he wouldn't discuss what he just did,
Hmm.
and there would be different types of commands for it. So different effects, whether it be on objects or people. So I agree. Maybe he did take a portion of like her breath in order to like alter her like memory in order to cover the traumatic experience she just had.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Very possible. But yeah, so then we get into Venna gets close to them again, and she hears the girl asking where her dad is, and that her mom doesn't like it when she's dirty. As the girl continues talking, Venna realizes she doesn't remember the entire experience of where she has been. Vasher then kicks the gate of a mansion open, and a pair of guard dogs bark at them. However, as soon as the dogs see Vasher, they grew quiet, trailing along happily and licking at his hands. There's some people that notice Vasher and Vivenna, and they go into the mansion before a man appears with a couple of soldiers. The man quickly rushes forward, taking the child and crying as he whispers his thanks to Vasher, while the dogs continue to look at Vasher's hands, but they avoid Nightblood. Why do you think the dogs like Vasher so much?
Same reason that this girl likes Vasher
Hmm.
so much.
Vasher's just a great person. Wouldn't you just be all over
No,
him?
he's not. He's tricking them. He's doing something. I don't know what it is. And it's so many things. It's always Vasher.
kids
Always
and kids
Vasher.
and animals just love him. He's just
No,
he's just
no,
big
no,
Uncle
no,
Vasher.
no, no. Vasher is doing these things that we don't get explanations for, and it's annoying. It
Just put me
really
on edge a little.
is. He goes into a tunnel. We don't get to know what the tunnel. He talks about a fourth lightning. We don't know what the fourth type. We don't know what that is. This girl all of a sudden just likes him.
The
What?
guard dogs love him.
The dogs love him. He does this weird
Nightblood loves him.
command. Okay, Nightblood loves everybody. Command to this girl and like accept the people he kills, but he does this command. He's just doing these things that we don't get to see or know about, and it's annoying. And I swear to God, Sanderson, if you just dump all of this on us at the last second, like
Or
what is
don't.
going on? No, he's going to. There's no way he can't. He has to tell us. He has to give us something. Like
I want
even if it's just a small something. I want to know what's in what was in those tunnels. I want to know like
You'll get answers to
why
some
these
things at least. I'll tell you that much.
I've
we
been
don't get
waiting
answers to
so
all of this.
I've been
You'll
waiting
get at least general answers that generally describe them, but not
oh
like an in
no.
detail of every single little thing.
Uh,
What were you gonna say, Darkness?
I was saying I've been waiting so long I kinda don't even want answers right now. I wanna like just like keep waiting.
Yeah. So yeah, so we
I
learned
want
the
answers.
girl's name is I don't know if it's supposed to be like Meisel,
I
Missile.
don't remember what it said. I don't remember what it
It's
said right now.
Misel. I'm gonna say
I'd have to go
Meisel.
list.
Uh,
Myself?
Misel, and that he had been asked to
Mademoiselle.
change. And that Nannerva had been asked to change his mind in arguments regarding the war, or they'd kill Meisel. Vasher just asked the man to make certain the kingdom doesn't use its lifeless for slaughter, and the man agrees and thanks Vasher again. As they leave, Vasher tells Vivenna
Oh
she's
wait.
redeemed.
1 second.
Hmm?
He also didn't remember him
Yeah, he like barely remembered
originally.
him. He's like, "Oh yeah, you told
Yeah.
right, yeah, we had that
Yeah.
conversation apparently."
When he came out and he was like,
I think
"Who
it's
are
also like
you?" I
dark, like
was
middle of the
like,
night. So
but when he came out and he said, "Who are you?" Like, he had no idea who Vasher was for a minute.
yeah,
I was like, "Oh shit! Did Vasher do the same thing he did to her sister?
guy's just
Wiped your
hugging him.
memory?" Yeah.
But yeah, as they leave, Vasher tells Vivenna she was redeemed herself, as he never would have found Maisel without her, and Vivenna saved the girl's life. Vivenna finds that the
Mhm.
compliment is affecting her more than it should have. Vasher then apologizes for losing his temper and saying it's why he's not a good duelist. Vivenna notes on Nanrava's mansion, but Vasher explains that Nanrava's father was a wealthy merchant, and Nanrava dedicated himself to serving the gods out of gratitude and takes no pay for his service. Do you have any thoughts on Nanrava?
I mean, he just seems manipulated. I mean, It's very simple.
Yeah.
He sounds like a decent guy.
Yeah, it does. But he got manipulated. I
I
mean,
mean,
which is what
he
happens
got blackmailed.
when
His
you
daughter
know.
got kidnapped. I mean, it
And he got manipulated. He was,
Just make it
wasn't really
more.
manipulated. It was like, if you don't do it, that's not really manipulation. That's like straight up like blackmail extortion.
which is a form of
I
manipulation.
guess.
I mean,
Uh,
you're doing something in order to make somebody else do something they don't want to do. You're manipulating them in some way.
Hmm. Did you want to say something there, Dickness?
no.
Vivenna then notes that Basher is an earnest man trying to be good. He's rough, brutal, has a terrible temper, but he was a good man. Vivenna felt safe for the first time in weeks. Which is a
Yeah,
nice little
Ravenna is falling in love with Vasher. Got
bit.
it.
Darkness gasped there.
It's just,
Did
I'm
you
just
not?
like,
Did you not realize that?
no. It's because when stuff is just said in general, I picture like a whole like life in like 20, 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Well,
just like,
yeah,
okay, grandchildren's
like
children,
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
grandchildren.
I agree. I started when she made the comment about Vasher. I was like, I started thinking like, oh well, now Siri's got Susabrun, she's got Vasher. You know,
I feel
like
like
it's gonna
Basher's
be one
like
happy
around her
family.
dad's age or something though,
That's
potentially.
okay.
So
That's okay.
Okay. I don't
this
know.
woman. First off,
Little weird.
this woman has so much breath. Apparently, she's going to live for a
I guess
very
that's
long time.
true.
And so will
Um
So
Vasher.
and if you're gonna go into that, we could go down a whole road of elven
oh
love
gosh.
down.
And
Like, I mean, come on.
All right, we'll
Susabran is
just
technically over 50 years old, so
it's true, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
Anyways.
elves
So
live for thousands of years,
yeah.
okay, and
Okay.
still get 20-year-olds.
Yeah. I don't know.
anyway.
Anyways, chapter 50, our final chapter, which is our
Yay.
most intense
Wait, no.
chapter here.
Oh God.
So we start this chapter with Lightsong's point of view. He's with Blushweaver, who's talking about how they both have 20,000 lifeless now. Lightsong notes that Blushweaver is more covered up and he likes her better that way, which makes him wonder if he was a prude in his former life. He's like, oh, she looks a lot better when she's like covered up and not just like exposing herself completely. Um, Lightsong notes that the arena is filling up and only Weatherlove, who is often unpredictable, is late. He thinks about his dream last night, which had only been of a moon and some odd twisting passages like tunnels. What do you think of Lightsong's dream?
Okay. Darkness.
Yes.
I think you're right. I think it's pawn call.
Oh
Oh
shit.
no.
Okay. So I was wrapping my head around some things. We haven't figured out what's going on with these tunnels, but
Which is
feel
the big
like
quiz.
yeah, I feel like uh it's gonna come out later, and I think it's gonna be Bluefingers and Blushweaver are working together,
Oh shit.
and that's why Blushweaver didn't make the tunnels, um, because the tunnels are going to be how Pankal is going to invade and attack and
Mm,
kill the gods. Because, in my opinion, the only way to take out down Hallandren would be to take out the gods.
it's
Take
true.
out the gods. There's not much for them to do.
Oh
I mean, if they take out
my
And
everyone
god.
with lifeless commands, they don't really have much of an army, sounds like.
And
yep,
what if it's Blushweaver using the commands to kill all the people there?
could
All the
be.
Halandran
Mm,
people in Lightsong's
yep.
dream?
Yeah.
Possible.
As much as I don't like her, I was really hoping she wasn't going to be bad. But I mean, it's
Mm.
very possible. But the whole dream with this moon and the tunnels, and it specifically said tunnels. I was like
Yeah,
starting to
twisting
think of
passages like tunnels.
yeah. I was starting to think. I don't remember why, but for some reason the moon made me think of Pankal, and I don't remember why.
We
There was
don't know
something.
where Blushweaver originates from too,
It
huh?
was no,
I don't think
but there
so.
was something before that they were. I think it was when the storyteller was talking to Scary.
Mm.
I feel like there was something. I don't. I have to go back.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
With the moon and Pankal, and I was like, it just when he stated he had another dream and it was the moon in these tunnels. I was like, feel like it's Pankal coming through the tunnels, like,
See.
and then I was starting to put things together of like all of the other things, like
Or if
maybe
they are invading through
Pankal.
the tunnels, maybe they come at night to invade through the tunnels.
Mhm. Yeah. And then Siri over here, I'm only gonna have Pankal women around me.
They all like slip
Oh,
out a dagger from their dress.
and they kill her, and then Susabron gets sad, mad, whatever. So many thoughts, but he is
Yeah.
definitely having some prolific dreams, and yeah, I'm
So
definitely no longer on the boat of that they're not prophecies.
you guys both think they're definitely prophecies now?
Essentially, yeah.
I mean, it definitely pushed me over the edge when All Mother was talking about how she had prophesied that
Yeah, I know
Light Song was
you
coming.
started changing last
Yeah,
episode with that.
I was like, okay, well, if that's true, then maybe he is having some of these dreams, and then literally he has this dream of to tell her falling, and I'm like,
Yeah. Lightsong's also
he's,
dreamed of Nightblood now, and he's also seen in a picture Nightblood.
mm-hmm.
I
She
also
was
think
stating that too, yeah.
I also think it's more like a mixture of like how do I say memories and like the future.
Yeah, because well, we do know that he's like seen like that woman who's apparently
Yeah.
like he knew. So unless she comes up in the battle, that would have to be a memory.
Or he's gonna go find her.
Yeah, that's what I said. Unless she shows up in the next few chapters and stuff, it would have to be a memory. So yeah, it could be a mixture.
Hmm.
But yeah, so then Blush
Also,
Fever. Oh,
also,
go ahead.
Weather Love being absent or not absent, but late, kind of funny because weather being
Yeah, he's
late.
unpredictable,
Yeah.
like the
Uh-huh.
weather.
Wait, that's
Yeah.
actually I didn't even realize
Uh,
that.
so okay, so I guess I could say it now because
Mm,
it kind of goes with about what I was gonna say later, after we were done. But so I'm pretty sure I told you yesterday, I think, that I was
mm,
listening to it while it was in my pocket. My brother was right next to me while we were working.
yeah.
And this is one of the parts where we were at when it said that the weather is unpredictable comment.
Yeah.
I laughed, and my brother was like talking about it, and he kind of got a little invested in the book when
Oh.
I was talking about it to him, and he is said he told me today he was listening to the podcast. And I
Nay!
was like, oh, cool.
Well,
I'm gonna
hello to
tell him
Mythic's
midnight.
brother when he eventually gets here.
I was like, oh yeah, awesome.
Yay!
But yeah, he found it very funny, and that's where I got that comment because I didn't think about that originally. I just
Hmm.
glossed right past it, and he was like, "Yeah, weather being unpredictable because we live in Florida. Weather is unpredictable." I'm like, I was like, that's so funny. But yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty funny. So Blushweaver states that they should share their command phrases just in case, but Lightstone doesn't really respond, and the
mm,
conversation moves on to not enough people staring at Blushweaver. Lightstone eventually states that the only way to truly compliment Blushweaver is to be far more attractive, intelligent, and interesting than her, which is kind of like a backhanded compliment. And
yep.
this allows all the attention to be on him, which allows her to throw tantrums and be seductive, because apparently that's what when she's in her best form, and then that
Mm,
draws attention back to her. And eventually, Lightsong gets away from the jokes and teasing and gets more serious, saying it's a joke that he has been given so much influence. He says that the only reason they have the commands is because no one else wants to be responsible. Blushweaver then states that Lightsong truly is wonderful, and she says he isn't going to give her his commands, which he shakes his head to. Are you surprised Blushweaver didn't push more for Lightsong's commands?
not at all.
Are you
So
surprised, Darkness? Oh, sorry.
go darkness first, and then I'll say what I wanted to say.
I I just feel like she knows she can't really pressure him that much, and she also partly respects him, so it makes sense that she really didn't.
Okay, so darkness, kind of more to you because Midnight already knows the end of the book. Okay, darkness. Run with me here on this, right? Let's say Blushweaver is the bad guy. What if she likes Light Song and doesn't want him in the battle? Doesn't knows it's coming, knows that this big fight's about to happen, and is trying to save him. And so she's trying very hard to get him on her side so she could uh, ferry him away before the fighting commences.
Hmm.
I think she likes him. Like Susabron likes Siri and Vivenna likes
I mean,
Asher.
she does constantly try and get him in bed with her.
Yeah. and
And she
it
goes along
doesn't
with all
seem
his
as if
jokes
she's
and
yeah,
weird shit.
exactly. And so it makes me feel like she might be trying to basically like get him away from what she knows is coming. And so obviously, you're not going to push the person that you kind of
Mhm.
like. So maybe her thought is, okay, well, I'm going to get him on my side anyways, which means I have all of the commands at my disposal, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty good theory, right?
Yeah.
If Blushweaver is the bad guy. It's just
But
I
if
just
she's
keep wondering
not,
where Bluefinger is.
if she's not, then she's just being really naive.
Maybe, but I mean like she didn't have any commands before and then really is pushing to get them.
But I mean, I think it sounds like she kind of agrees with Lightsong that none of the other gods do anything. So, I
Hmm.
mean, if she thinks they're all incompetent just like him, whether she's the bad guy, I mean, if she's the good guy, then obviously she's like, I should do something because they're all incompetent. And if she's the bad guy, she's like, I don't want them being fickle. I need all this power so that my plans can go through because I'm the bad guy.
Hmm. I mean, either way, I mean, she could be. We've made the comment numerous times in the book and out of that everybody believes they're the good guy.
Yeah.
Everybody believes that they're doing the right thing. So she probably believes, if she's the bad guy, she probably believes she's doing the right thing. That something has set this into motion in her head, and she says, "Okay, well, if I take these commands from these other people, and I have them, then I can use them to
Mhm.
basically set it right."
Yeah. To do what I think is the right thing.
Yeah, and obviously she thinks Lightsong is doing something right because she defended him till Siri, even though she didn't need to. Like, sh- she just, she definitely likes Lightsong
Hmm. I don't think
very
that's really
much.
up for debate.
Yeah,
She at
she
least
very,
very much
yeah,
respects him, if not also has a lot of romantic feelings for him.
yeah. I think she has. Yeah, I find it weird. I would love to know if she has like tried to court other people while still trying to court Lightsong right now.
Mm.
Like, or if she stopped doing that now
Yeah, we
because
don't know. We
he
know
has
she
stated it
used to
before.
do it a lot, and it sounds like
Yeah.
she's in the past tried to get him in her bed before too. So it sounds like she's probably been with other people while also trying to get him. But I don't know if like she's gotten more interested in him and then less interested in other people or not.
Hmm.
Like that
Possibly.
could be a thing where she was like just kind of interested at first, and now she's more interested.
It's just gonna be one of those Star Wars reference of I have the high ground, come with me, and the light song's gonna be like, no.
So then Blushweaver then says that Lightsong always goes through every piece of art, listens most deeply to the pleas of the petitioners, and that insulting the other gods puts him above them all. Lightsong then goes to his pavilion, noting whether love has arrived. He also notes that Ciri usually gets there before him, but she isn't there yet. We move to Ciri's point of view.
Mhm.
So she's walking through the palace corridors, thinking about her plan to tell Lightsong what she has discovered about the God King. She then wants Lightsong to speak to the other gods when there's like a break in the discussions. And her train of thought stops as she sees a small group of priests and lifeless soldiers waiting in front of the doors to the court. She spins around and sees another group of priests approaching from the other side. And the priests say she can't be exerting herself in her condition, as there are many who would try and harm her as she is carrying a child. Siri realizes she doesn't need to actually be pregnant, the priests just need people to think she's pregnant. The priest says it's for her own good as the lifeless soldier takes her back to her rooms. What do you think is going to happen to Siri?
Well, I don't think she's gonna get killed yet, but I definitely saw this coming, 100%. Like, it irritates me that she didn't see it coming. All the planning you were doing, and you didn't see this coming.
What do
I
you
kind
think,
of hate
Dignus?
that. I kind of hate that there's nothing she seems to be able to do there. Like,
She could do something. I don't know why she doesn't, but she does. She could.
I would have tried to run my ass through those doors.
I wouldn't have tried to run, but I would have at least made more of a show about it. You
Mm.
know, I would have been like, because like first off, if their whole thing is that they can't, that you have to like not get hurt, right?
Hmm.
Because you're carrying the child. If you make a show and say they're stealing me away, blah blah, whatever, and the whole pantheon is sitting there,
Well, she's
that right there
inside
makes a
still.
statement.
I
Yeah,
Oh,
mean,
okay.
that's yeah. That's why I was like, I need to get through the doors
I thought
first,
she, I
and
thought,
then I need to make a show.
wait, I thought she was
she's still
heading to.
inside the God King's palace. She's in the corridors, going towards the door that leads towards
Yeah,
Oh,
the court.
okay. I thought she was already there. I thought she
No,
said she could
she's
see
no,
Lightsong.
she was thinking about talking to Lightsong, but no, she's still inside. The only people that can see her are her, besides the people that are capturing her, are the Pancal women.
Hmm.
yeah.
I
So
mean,
The fact that
yeah,
they have lifeless there too, right?
yeah, there's some
Sometimes,
lifeless
yeah.
guards, so that if she
Hmm.
tries
sometimes like
anything,
she's kind of
yeah.
fucked.
Which I
um,
think is why she doesn't try anything. She's like, well,
Yeah,
there's no
I
one to
guess.
see or hear me, and they have fucking lifeless.
shit,
Hmm.
and you know what's worse? If it is the Panko, then uh, they just got what they wanted.
So next we have Vivenna's point of view. She is sitting amongst the crowd at the court. She notes that it feels natural to sit in trousers and a tunic, brightly colored and completely ignored. Vasher appears
Mm.
nearby, and she moves out of her seat to stand with him. Nanrivo
And
is,
somebody gets in.
Nanrivo is currently leading the discussion against the war, but had very little support. Yeah, someone steals her seat as soon as
That
she
yeah,
fucking
that was my
stands.
favorite part about that. She's like, I stand up, and then immediately somebody slips into my seat. I'm like, wow.
Oh, to
So
sit down on their.
do you think Vivenna just feels comfortable because she's blending in, or do you think her liking the trousers is her changing more?
Both.
Both.
Yes.
Yeah, both. I mean, I think she's definitely liking the trousers, which is funny because she should have done it in the first
Yeah, I know. She resisted the trousers for so long, and she's like, "Damn,
one.
these are actually pretty comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Don't trip on it all the time, like my skirts."
Yep.
uh, so Vasher then states that Denth is either not here or he can't find him in the crowd. He also notes that Nanrova lacks credibility due to changing his mind multiple times. Neither Susebron or Ciri are there, which annoys Vivenna as she wanted to check on her sister. Zen noted that Vivenna had Vasher lock Nightblood in a closet as she thinks he'll stand out too much with it. How do you think Nightblood feels about being locked in a closet?
He's
Probably not
probably
happy.
trying to look for someone to murder,
Yeah.
nearby.
Or somebody to take him. Yeah.
Just I like Patrick's response as well. He couldn't really. He's like, but I don't mind standing out. And she's like, no, we can't stand. And he's like, fine.
He's like
Hmm.
seeping smoke out of the closet doors.
Yeah, his anger.
And I've had the little part about her telling Basher about it. Like it's almost like Basher kind of pouting about it. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yep. Kind of like Nightblood.
but yeah. So Vasher then leaves again to find out why the God King isn't there yet. And when Vasher returns, he tells Vivenna she's going to be an aunt. Apparently, the God King is staying in the palace to celebrate. Vivenna begs Vasher to let them save her sister, which he agrees to. Zen noted that the vote for the war is about to happen, which leads us back to Lightsong's point of view.
Hmm.
He notes the priests kneeling before their gods, heads bowed, as they have sought the will of the gods. Only the God King can veto a decision of the full pantheon, but he is not attending the meeting. Lightsong thinks that he had wished the God King was better than to not attend such an important meeting. Do you think
Yep,
this
and
will
he knows why
change?
too. Yeah.
Do you think this will change Lightsong's opinion about potentially working with Ciri and the God King, if Ciri or the God King will be able to get in contact with him at some point?
I I I think if they do get in contact with him, um, at first he's gonna be like, "Oh, you didn't even show up" or stuff like that, right?
Because
But I feel
once
like
he was like, I could potentially give the God King my commands, and now he's like, oh, the God King's not even fucking showing up to this important meeting.
yeah, but I mean like if Siri gets a chance or like one of them gets a chance to explain why, then yeah,
Hmm. What
he's probably gonna listen.
do you think, Mythic?
I agree. I agree.
You
I
agree?
think if they, yeah, I think if they explain it to him, he won't. But I feel like he's gonna come, or his head's gonna be in that mind space first, of course,
Hmm.
and then he'll probably say something snarky to them, and then they'll have to explain to him that wasn't on our, we didn't choose to do that. We wanted to be there.
Hmm. So Larmar then appears, bowing to Lightsong and asking for his will. Priests were already returning with answers, 5 of the 7 flying green flags for agreeing to war. Lightsong notes that only 2 votes really matter as more green flags appear. Lightsong wanders over to Blushweaver, and Lightsong says he can deny the war as he controls half of the lifeless. Blushweaver then sends a green flag out after, I think actually first she says, like, we really denied the Pantheon. And he's like, yeah, they don't matter. So yeah, she sends out a
Mm-hmm.
green flag, and Lightsong thinks back on his dream, wondering if it had meant something. He then states that he needs to think more, and he leaves the arena without giving his vote, stating he's
As she
frustrating like
screams to
that.
him.
Yeah. So
I hate it. I
you
think
hate
that
that he
was the
walked out?
worst idea. Yep. I think it was such a bad idea.
Mm,
It's just I don't I don't like it. I feel like it's gonna hurt in general.
yeah.
I'm so uncomfortable knowing that I don't know what's next.
That's why I want to read more.
Like, why did it leave off? It's not even that good of a cliffhanger, besides the fact that
Well,
it leads
first
you.
off, the cliffhanger was Siri.
Yeah, the cliffhanger is more Siri than
Yeah,
Lightsong.
definitely wasn't this whole light song thing. Yes, that's a slight cliffhanger as well, but like the real cliffhanger in this chapter
Is what the
was that
fuck's happening to
Siri,
Siri?
yeah, is Siri and
Yeah,
Susan are just gone, not here.
I don't think they're just gonna throw him off like that, you know?
You don't think they're gonna
um,
what?
Like just
off them, I think he said.
yeah.
Oh no, I don't think they're gonna kill Siri at all. I think they're gonna. She's got to be up there as a face for a little while.
I mean,
She's kind of to show herself here and there, especially if she is pregnant.
what would be cool?
Mm.
Kind of morbid and dark. If Vasher did agree to save Siri, and then he goes with Vivenna, right? And then they get there somehow to where Siri is, and she's dead.
Damn.
I would. mm, I'm really hoping that's not true, but it would
I
be
think
a
it'd be
nice
cool.
story hook.
A little
Yeah, a nice
flashback
story hook.
then.
It'd be a
So,
nice little story hook.
so my overview questions for this episode, first of all, would be, what do you think Basher and Vivenna will do to save Siri?
Hopefully, kill all the goddamn priests.
I
What if they mistake? What if Vivenna mistakenly kills the God King?
don't
I
think you
mean,
can
she does seem to not like
mistakenly
him.
kill the god.
Well, not mistakenly like that. Like she means to, but she does it
But like,
and doesn't
yeah,
realize that like
he's a
he's
good
not
person.
really the bad guy. He's not really the bad
Yeah,
guy here. Like
Siri
I
would be
understand.
so upset.
That would create some issues.
you're no longer my sister.
Well, remember how our theory on Nightblood was that he's like sucking the life force out of people.
Hmm.
Hmm.
What if Vivenna pulls Nightblood and stabs the God King,
Oh damn.
and
And she's
then
uh,
there goes the treasure if our theory is correct.
Well, what do happen to Nightblood if Nightblood got that much breath?
it explodes.
The world would fucking be chaos. I would find it amazing if the whole idea was okay. I stabbed this into the God King, it sucked out his treasure, and then Nightblood just morphed into a human being,
Oh god.
an evil incarnate evil human being.
What if like think about it this way? So you know how when Vasher was getting big? What
Mm.
if like
Mhm.
she does that and then she just like grows like 100 times?
Well, 100 times, but yeah,
She
just
just
you're growing.
crushes the planet.
What's
Okay,
the planet? What's the planet name?
Nalthus.
Malthus.
okay,
Okay.
okay. Um,
Nalthis. Nalthus.
Have we gotten that already?
No, I don't think it's
Just.
actually said in this book, but the planet name
Uh,
is Nalthus.
I gotcha. Okay.
Um, yeah, also, so do you guys think Susebron is being locked up like Siri, or is he actually celebrating and being kept in the dark about things?
No, I think he's locked up, but
yep.
I don't think
I
he's
agree.
locked up. Like I don't think like they're locking him up like you
He's
know like I don't think he knows he's being locked up.
he's like locked
Mhm.
in a room.
Also, do you think Siri and Susebron will be allowed to see each other again? Do you think they're going to
No,
be... No?
no, at
You
all.
think Mythic?
I mean, I doubt it, but Yeah, I
And
doubt
finally,
it.
what do you think Light Song's next move will be?
You know, you just asked the hardest question that I think. Out of all of this is the hardest question for me because either he's a bad guy or he's not, or like everybody around him's a bad guy, or like there's like stuff he can fight, stuff he shouldn't fight. Like, why would you ask that question when I literally cannot think of an answer that doesn't like involve multiple different theories? I think the most likely answers are he's probably gonna end up helping Siri or like whoever it is that doesn't die from like their group, or harming them and the people in Holandria if he's
Like I
evil.
said, I'm pushed off the theory that Lightsong is a bad guy.
Hmm.
It's more
Um,
Blush Reaper now, huh?
yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, I'm literally still gonna go on the theory that the main characters are not like supposedly evil. Um, until that's changed, I'm gonna keep going on that theory. I think Lightsong is just I don't know. I think he's gonna go back to his little his rooms and s- sleep on it. I guess. I mean, it's just get a
Maybe
vision, and then
he's tired.
I think he needs to talk to Susabran and Siri about his actual idea here.
Do you think he'd be able to go talk to
That's hard
Sirius
to
No,
say.
Whisper?
no, but I feel like he's gonna try.
Mm,
I feel like he's gonna like he does like he did it all mothers. I feel like he's gonna go in there and attempt to be stubborn, and it's not gonna work as well as it did. And
hmm.
like he's gonna at least try to.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. That
The
is.
tunnels.
Oh, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Now I was gonna say the tunnels have to come up like ASAP, and I maybe
We technically have
so we know
8
Bastion
chapters
is
left
involved.
before the epilogue.
Yeah.
9. We have 9 chapters left.
8
8.
before the epilogue. So there's
Yeah.
8 plus the epilogue.
Okay. Whatever. I'll just read.
I'm like
That's all I can do.
generally like all of the action is going to happen before the epilogue, right? Like the epilogue's supposed to just tie things up, like where people are after
Yeah.
everything.
Hopefully here in the next what 5 chapters or whatever they're in.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know exactly where exactly does this next. Where does chapter 55 end with? Because I'm like, I feel like it's gonna be even worse of a cliffhanger because you're gonna be like really right
Probably.
at the end.
Probably.
Ah,
Go ahead. Tell us and all of your viewers that we will be on a cliffhanger.
I'm pretty sure you're gonna.
Also, wait,
Siri's right.
Ooh,
Right now,
you
you're
have
Siri's
gonna.
on
disappeared.
the edge.
You have
Siri's on the edge.
disappeared on the thing.
Oh.
Oh, there you are.
Ooh, that's some interesting stuff that's happening.
Siri's like on the edge of her seat right now, listening.
I think you guys might get who the true bad guys are in the next episode. Might get an answer to
Yes.
that.
The true bad guys.
The
Well,
true
because we don't
bad
know.
guys.
You guys have been going back and forth
There's
about
multiple.
is it
There's
Haladrin,
multiple
is
darkness.
it a
Darkness.
Blush
There's
Weaver,
multiple.
is it the Pankal you've now said? Like,
We
there's
just
who are
I
the
we
mean,
just see
true?
technically,
Mob.
yeah.
We see Mob,
Technically,
the
no.
brother, and like Falafel riding on horses.
Falafel. Stop saying it's poppin'. Stop saying falafel.
No,
Anyways,
More
so
words.
more syllables, you mean?
No, more word.
Syllable. Okay.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, more syllables, but it is also more word.
more letters.
No, more word. Like as in it's
More
more
word.
word.
I don't think that's correct grammar, but anyways.
Mythic saying it's cooler. You know.
No, I'm
Anyways,
not.
that is the end of this episode. Our next chapters will be 51 through 55. And so yeah, that's what we'll be going through this next Sunday. So I hope you guys look forward to that. I don't know if you want to read right now or if you want to wait till Sunday to read because do you want to read now and
I'm
rush
reading
through?
now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna read now.
I want you to end the stream and then we'll all read this right now.
All right. Well, we're going. Say bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See you all
Bye.
Sunday.